Chapter 5687. Languza glared at him from the side and shouted, "Be honest. Just answer whatever our boss asks. Don't talk about those useless things." Yes, 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 I won't do it again. Languza glared at him, and the guy shrunk back immediately. Lin-Yi waved his hand, and the guy's phone flew out of the air. He lit up the screen and saw that there wasn't a password. He flipped through his contacts, found Master Wen's number, and called it. After a few rings, a familiar voice came through. "You better have something important to tell me, or you'll be in big trouble." It really was Jiang Wen. Lin-Yi smiled lightly. At his current level, he didn't care about enemies like Jiang Wen, who had been enemies for a long time. Instead, he felt a little nostalgic when he heard the pretentious voice. After all, Jiang Wen's existence was the reason his relationship with Meng Yao improved so much. "Jiang Wen, you're still as arrogant as ever, huh? I didn't think you'd still be alive after all this time, even taking over the Qianshan sect and creating this Fire Wolf Qianshan sect. Not bad." Lin-Yi said faintly into the phone, thinking about the unconscious Meng Yao. After a few seconds of silence, Jiang Wen said uncertainly, "Lin-Yi, how do you know about the Fire Wolf sect? Why is this phone in your hands? Didn't you go to Sky Class Island? Why are you back?" This series of questions was even more professional than a professional reporter. If Jiang Wen was here, he'd probably get a microphone and shove it into Lin-Yi's mouth for him to answer. Lin-Yi said impatiently, "You're full of shit. You listen to me? Calm down. If you continue to cause trouble like this, do you believe that I will directly destroy your entire Fire Wolf gang?" "I don't believe you. No way." Jiang Wen's first 2 words were filled with confidence, but the last 2 words completely deflated him. Lin-Yi had left a huge shadow in his heart, a shadow so big that it couldn't be calculated at all. It'd be a wonder if he'd still be stubborn. "I say, Lin-Yi, what did I do to you? I didn't do anything to you recently, did I? I've gone into hiding, and you want to take revenge for what happened in the past. But I've already compensated you. You can't be so mean, can you?" Jiang Wen felt quite wronged as he spoke. Every time he went against Lin-Yi, he was the one who suffered heavy losses, and he had to compensate Lin-Yi. This wasn't going against Lin-Yi at all. He was just giving Lin-Yi money and stuff. Before Lin-Yi could reply, Jiang Wen changed the topic. "Lin-Yi, I'm telling you, don't think that I'll give up on Yao Yao just because you're gone. And Yao Yao is unconscious. I'll tell you this, that's impossible. I'll deal with you when I'm strong enough." Lin-Yi couldn't help but frown. What was going on? It seemed like Jiang Wen hadn't recovered from the shock yet. He looked like he was going to admit defeat 1 second, and now he was talking tough. Even if he was a Gemini, he shouldn't be this schizophrenic, right? But from what Jiang Wen said, it seemed like he really wasn't going to come out and mess around anymore. Was this really just a private decision from the Fire Wolf sect? "That Fire Wolf sect guy of yours came to cause trouble for my friend, the new noble house Liang. Don't tell me you don't know about this." Lin-Yi said casually. It didn't matter if Jiang Wen knew or not, since he was the leader of Fire Wolf sect. Lin-Yi had to deal with him. "What? Those bastards. I told them not to go out and cause trouble, and they came to your friend's house all of a sudden. No wonder that idiot's phone was in your hands. All right, I understand. I'll leave them to you to deal with. No one will go to that house Liang anymore, okay?" Jiang Wen seemed to have smashed something on the ground, and he seemed to be really angry. "What do you mean, okay? Your people came to cause trouble for my friend, and I helped you clean up the mess, and you're just going to let me go like this?" Lin-Yi's lips curled up into a faint smile. He remembered how he'd blackmailed Jiang Wen before, and his mood lightened up. He wanted to blackmail Jiang Wen out of habit. Jiang Wen was quiet for a while and said angrily, I knew you wouldn't give up that easily. Fine, fine, fine. I'll admit that I'm unlucky. Give your friend from House Liang 100 million as compensation, and don't try to bargain with me. Otherwise, you can go tear down Firewolf Sexgate. It's just a place to test the potions, anyway. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile. Money in the common world meant nothing to him, and blackmailing Jiang Wen was just for fun and memories. Since he'd achieved his goal, he didn't need to force him anymore. All right, since you're so smart, 100 million it is. I'll send you my account number later and transfer it to me in 10 minutes. Otherwise, I'll tear down Firewolf Sexgate. As you said, Lin Yi was about to hang up when Jiang Wen yelled, Lin Yi, don't get too cocky. We'll fight sooner or later, and Yao Yao is mine. She'll come back to me, and I'll find you for sure. Jiang Wen was probably trying to boost his confidence by speaking louder and louder. Lin Yi had no choice but to move the phone away from him so that his ears wouldn't be polluted by the noise. All right, I got it. I'll wait for you. Just don't jump out and cause trouble. I don't have time for you. Lin Yi said with a face full of disgust. All right, I got it. I'll wait for you. Another sharp Lin Yi came from the phone, but Lin Yi had already hung up. He tossed the phone to the dumbfounded Liang Bufan. The trouble with Firewolf Sexgate is solved, and they won't come to House Liang for revenge. Send your account number to this number, and 100 million will come in later. Treat it as Zhou Ruoming and Liang Ruoqing's betrothal gift. With that, Lin Yi turned around and signaled Languza to take care of the last guy from Firewolf Sect. Since Jiang Wen had handed him over to Lin Yi, then so be it. Languza nodded. Without another word, he killed him with a single slap. Liang Bufan's body trembled. He felt that these two people were too cruel. Originally, he wanted to say that the betrothal gift of 100 million yuan would be too much, but after thinking about it, he decided to forget it. No matter what happened, it was better not to go against their will. Chapter 5688. Lin Yi waved his hand and did not pick up the phone. He just said lightly, "It's no big deal. After Liang Ruoqing marries Zhou Ruoming, your Liang family will have a little relationship with me. You don't have to worry about such a small matter. Let's go in and discuss about the wedding." "Oh, yes. I'm too impolite. Senior Lin, please come in. Senior Lan, please come in." Liang Bufan hurriedly bowed respectfully and personally led the way for Lin Yi and Languza to enter the villa. At the same time, he signaled the people of the Liang family to hurry up and make preparations. He didn't know what Lin Yi's hobbies were, but Languza obviously liked handsome clothes and delicious meat. This was something that was easy for the Liang family, so it would be good to prepare these two things first. If he could make Languza happy, perhaps Lin Yi's mood would improve as well. Liang Bufan understood that as long as he could ride on Lin Yi's coattails, their Liang family's position would be completely stabilized in the future. They might even be able to take advantage of the situation and climb to the next level. Even if he could not build a relationship with Lin Yi, it was also good to have Languza as his backer. It was just some clothes and meat. The 100 million yuan that Lin Yi casually obtained was enough to buy clothes and meat in the whole villa. After arriving at the living room of the Liang's villa, someone swiftly served some ready-made food. Naturally, Lin Yi wasn't interested. Languza, on the other hand, was enjoying the food. However, it wasn't really possible to bribe him just like that. "Liang family master, what do you think about their wedding?" Lin Yi did not beat around the bush and asked directly. Liang Bufan bowed respectfully and said, "Senior Lin, you are too polite. Please call me Xiao Liang. Otherwise, Xiao Fan is also fine." Lin Yi was speechless. He was already so old, but he still called him Xiao Fan. However, when he thought about how he was treated as a 1,000-year-old monster in the primordial pugilistic world. It was normal for them to call him Xiao Liang. After Liang Bufan replied humbly, he immediately returned to the topic at hand. He did not dare to let Lin wait after asking his question. Senior Lin, what do you think about this? Anyway, Ruoqing is also preparing to get married the day after tomorrow, and everything is ready. Why don't we follow this schedule and hold the wedding for the two of them the day after tomorrow? What do you think? Liang Bufan just wanted to establish a relationship with Lin Yi as soon as possible. It just so happened that he was prepared for it the day after tomorrow, so he simply brought it up. If it wasn't for the fact that he was afraid that Lin Yi would think it was too rushed, Liang Bufan thought that it would be a good idea to let them consummate their marriage tonight. Lin Yi did not care. Anyway, it was Zhou Ruoming who felt that it was fine. It was fine as long as he helped him to this step. Seeing Lin Yi turn to look at him, Zhou Ruoming hesitated for a moment before nodding, although he felt that the day after tomorrow was a bit rushed and many things couldn't be prepared properly. After the incident with the Sun family, Zhou Ruoming felt that it was better to take advantage of Lin Yi's presence to settle things. Liang Ruoqing sat next to Zhou Ruoming with her head lowered and her pretty face blushed. Although she did not expect to marry Zhou Ruoming so soon, she would not object to holding the wedding as soon as possible after going through so many ups and downs. Lin Yi immediately nodded and said, "Then it's settled, since the wedding will be held the day after tomorrow. Zhou Ruoming, you should hurry back and prepare. Or should we hold the wedding here first and then hold another one when we return to Songshan?" Zhou Ruoguang interrupted. "Hayashi Lin, that's a good idea. Why don't we hold the wedding here the day after tomorrow and then hold another one when we return to Songshan? This way, Songshan will have more time to prepare. I'll make a call and let them make the arrangements." After that, Zhou Ruoguang immediately ran to the living room and made a call. Although the Zhou family had declined, they still had a good financial and social network in Songshan. Small things like preparing for the wedding were not a problem at all. Liang Bufan was smiling so widely that his eyes could not be seen. From his point of view, after Zhou Ruoming and Liang Ruoqing's wedding, the Liang family would be considered to have formed a relationship with Lin Yi. In the future, if there was any trouble like Firewolf sect, they could definitely use Lin Yi's name as a protective talisman. He could also see that a new aristocratic family like the Liang family might not have heard of Lin Yi's name, such as Wu Qingli's maiden family, but the higher-level families like the Sun family and the leader of Firewolf sect, young Master Wen, were all aware of Lin Yi's identity and were either respectful or fearful of Lin Yi. This meant that Lin Yi's background was very deep. The reason why the new aristocratic families didn't know about him was because their status was too low. "Senior Lin, you're the matchmaker for the wedding the day after tomorrow. You must be the host of the wedding for these two children. I don't know if this junior's request is a little too much. If it's possible, it will be a very important blessing for these two children." Liang Bufan rolled his eyes and thought of a wonderful idea to get closer to Lin Yi. If Lin Yi agreed, then his relationship with Zhou Ruoming and his wife would be even better. Lin Yi thought it was not a big deal. Although it was a little troublesome, he would help them to the end. It was not a big deal to be the host of the wedding. Just when he was about to agree, the phone in his pocket suddenly rang. Because there was no signal in the space where the jade pendant was thrown, Lin Yi had to carry it with him at all times to let others find him. He had not received a call for a long time, so Lin Yi was not used to it. He took out his phone and looked at it. It was a call from Kong Xiaobo. It should be about the European Pharmaceutical Exhibition. After apologizing to Liang Bufan, Lin Yi pressed the answer button. "Boss, aren't you in the villa? I couldn't find you." After the call was connected, Kong Xiaobo said, directly. Lin Yi smiled and said, Yes, I met Zhou Ruoming today, so I came to Anhuang City with him to do something. Zhou Ruoming? It's this guy. I haven't seen him for a long time. Boss, have you finished what you wanted to do with him? Kang Xiaobo sighed and said nothing. Although Zhou Ruoming was Kang Xiaobo's schoolmate, Kang Xiaobo was not interested in the Big Four bullies. Even Lin Yi was named as one of the new Big Four bullies. Kang Xiaobo was the #1 underling of Lin Yi. Chapter 5689. Yeah, it's almost done. Are you looking for me about Europe? Lin Yi didn't intend to elaborate and went straight to the point. Kang Xiaobo nodded and said, yes, it's confirmed, and all the preparations are done. If you don't have any problems, we'll go to Donghai Airport tomorrow and take a flight to Yanjing. Then we'll transfer to Europe. Lin Yi pondered for a moment and said, is the itinerary urgent? Do you have anything else to do, boss? The notice from Europe said that the exhibition will start in 3 days. Judging from our schedule, we should have around 1 day of free time. So, it shouldn't be a problem to be late by 1.5 days, Kang Xiaobo answered immediately. If Lin Yi had something to do, of course, he would accommodate Lin Yi. Lin Yi thought for a moment and said, then it's fine. I won't return to Songshan tomorrow. I'll meet you at Donghai Airport. You don't have to wait for me. Okay, boss. We'll wait for you at Donghai Airport tomorrow. The flight will take off at 12:20 noon. The tickets have already been booked. Is there anything you need, boss? I'll prepare it for you. No need. I'll prepare it myself. You guys can go there. Lin Yi said a few more words to Kang Xiaobo and hung up. Lin Yi turned around and said to Zhou Ruoming apologetically, So, Ruoming, I'm sorry. I won't have time to attend your wedding. I have something to do in Europe tomorrow. I can only wish you a happy marriage and have a son soon. Liang Bufan couldn't hide the disappointment on his face. Lin Yi's presence and absence were two completely different concepts. But since Lin Yi said that he had something to deal with, Liang Bufan didn't have the guts to say anything. Although Zhou Ruoming was also a little disappointed, marrying Liang Ruoqing was the biggest reward. So he sincerely thanked Lin Yi. Hayashi Lin, it's all thanks to you this time. Ruoqing and I can get married because of Hayashi Lin's help. How about this? We don't have to rush our wedding. Let's wait until you come back from Europe. Hayashi Lin? Zhou Ruoming said the latter words on the spur of the moment. Of course, he was looking forward to his wedding with Liang Ruoqing. But without Lin Yi, the matchmaker, it would always be a little incomplete. Liang Bufan's eyes lit up. He said that the wedding would be held the day after tomorrow because he wanted to meet Lin Yi. Since Lin Yi was not free the day after tomorrow, it was reasonable to postpone it. However, Lin Yi ignored Liang Bufan's expectant eyes. He smiled slightly and said, I'm afraid I can't. After I go to Europe, I may not come back. Even if I come back, I don't know when I will come back. It's not necessary to delay your wedding. So Ruoming sighed softly. He knew that Lin Yi would not be able to attend the wedding, since he said so. He could only thank him again, with Liang Ruoqing. They said that if Lin Yi had the opportunity to come back in the future, they must treat him to a meal to express their gratitude to the matchmaker. Liang Bufan knew that there was no hope. He was suddenly very discouraged. He forced himself to discuss some details of the wedding with Zhou Ruoguang. He felt that nothing was important without Lin Yi's participation. Lin Yi also saw that Zhou Ruoming and the others were disappointed. So he thought about it and said, well, since Songshan is going to hold a wedding, we will postpone it. I am a friend of the groom, so I will attend this wedding. Ah, that's great. Hayashi Lin, I will prepare well. So Ruoming was overjoyed. He thought that Hayashi Lin was so nice to him. When Liang Bufan heard that, he rubbed his hands excitedly and expressed his gratitude. The next morning, Sun Jingyi came to the Liang family's villa to meet Lin Yi as the current master of the Sun family. She had spent a lot of time and energy to make arrangements. She almost didn't sleep last night. Fortunately, she was a powerful cultivator, so it was not a big problem for her to stay up for a few nights. After saying goodbye to the Liang family and the Zhou brothers, Lin Yi and Lang Guza got into Sun Jingyi's car and went directly to the East Ocean City airport. Jingyi didn't stop talking to Lin Yi on the way, as if she was trying to make up for all the time she'd missed out on. Lin Yi wasn't a talkative person, but this time he followed Jingyi's lead, and the two didn't stop talking at all. The same was true for Lang Guza, who was in the back seat, and his mouth didn't stop. When they left the Liang family, Liang Bufan prepared a lot of meat and stuffed it into Sun Jingyi's car. Lang Guza was naturally overjoyed, so he only cared about the food on the way. Other than the sound of chewing, it was very quiet. Speaking of Wu Qintian, this guy has already built his foundation, and after coming to the ancient Jianghu, his strength increased very quickly. His talent is not bad. When the two talked about Wu Qintian, Lin Yi mentioned his strength. Sun Jingyi said with a face full of envy, "This guy is really lucky. He's already so strong. It would be great if I could be like him." Lin Yi smiled. "What's so difficult about it? It's not like you don't know that I'm best at helping people increase their strength." Speaking of this, Sun Jingyi blushed, evidently thinking of the beautiful scene when she increased her strength in the past. Her beautiful eyes moved, and she looked at Lin Yi seductively. Lin Yi coughed and took out a foundation building pill. "This is a foundation building pill. When we reach the airport, if there's enough time, I'll help you build your foundation first. After you succeed, not only will your strength increase greatly, your lifespan will also be longer, and your appearance will be able to be maintained for a longer period of time." "Really? Maintain my appearance for a longer period of time? Does it mean that I won't age?" Sun Jingyi asked in surprise. As expected, women cared about their appearance. Lin Yi was speechless. What strength increase, longevity? Sun Jingyi didn't care at all. The only thing that entered her ears was that she would be able to maintain her appearance for a longer period of time. But in fact, among practitioners, strength and lifespan were what they pursued. Appearance wasn't important at all, right? Besides, he was just saying it casually. Sky Class already didn't look old. But talking reason with women was obviously the most stupid thing to do. Women had many nicknames, and one of them was Reason. No matter how much you talked, the reason would always belong to her. So Lin Yi wisely didn't talk about strength and lifespan, and just nodded in affirmation. Chapter 5690. Sun Jingyi was already very satisfied. She knew that Lin Yi couldn't be by her side all the time, so she was most afraid that Lin Yi would leave for a few hundred years, and when he came back, she would already be dead. Now it was fine. As long as he succeeded in building his foundation, he could at least extend his lifespan by a few hundred years. Lin Yi didn't know what Sun Jingyi was thinking. He continued talking about building his foundation, and then talked about the small Jianghu. After all, Wu Qintian, Song Lingshan, and the others were still in the small Jianghu, and Sun Jingyi was more interested. Before they knew it, they had arrived at Donghai Airport. Lin Yi scanned with his divine sense and found Kong Xiaobo and Lai Changyi, who had been waiting for a long time. Lan Fen probably had to stay at the headquarters, so she didn't come with them. Only these two co-chairmen went to Europe. After parking the car, Lin Yi first met up with Kong Xiaobo and Lai Changyi, and then brought everyone to the hotel in the airport. "Xiaobo, Changyi, you guys take Lang Guza around and eat something. Jingyi and I have some things to do. We'll come find you guys later." Lin Yi said calmly. He was going to help Sun Jingyi build her foundation in the room and make some pills for her, so that she could increase her strength as soon as possible. But Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi obviously misunderstood the things Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi wanted to do. They smiled weirdly and nodded. "No problem, boss, don't worry. It's still early to board the plane. You and sis-in-law haven't seen each other for a long time. You need more time to communicate." Sun Jingyi suddenly blushed. She was not an innocent girl. Of course, she could understand the hidden meaning of Kang Xiaobo's words. If Lin Yi really had this intention, she would not refuse at all. Unfortunately, Sun Jingyi knew why Lin Yi took her to a hotel. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with these two idiots who thought they were smart. He brought Sun Jingyi to his room. After closing the door, Sun Jingyi, who had always been mature and capable, became a little bashful. She stood there helplessly, which was very cute. Lin Yi handed the foundation-building pill to Sun Jingyi and said, "Jingyi, let's get started. Let's try to let you successfully build your foundation before the plane takes off." Sun Jingyi didn't take the foundation-building pill. Instead, with a slightly red face, she asked in a low voice, "Do you want to take off all your clothes?" It was obvious that he was speaking from experience. Lin Yi suddenly said awkwardly, "No need, my strength was too low before, and I couldn't control it well. Now I will protect you, and I can ensure that your clothes won't be damaged." In fact, Lin Yi had also seen Sun Jingyi's body. It was unfamiliar the first time, but familiar the second time, so there was nothing to be embarrassed about. However, Lin Yi still had to practice alchemy. He didn't want to be distracted by anything in front of him, so he had to give up this rare temptation. Sun Jingyi made an sound as if she was relieved, but in fact, she was a little disappointed in her heart. If she had known earlier, she wouldn't have asked. She could have just taken off all her clothes. But wouldn't that be too embarrassing? After all, she was a girl. No matter how mature and capable she was, she would still feel embarrassed. After taking the foundation-building pill, Sun Jingyi began to meditate to break through to the foundation-building realm. Lin Yi also took out the automatic alchemy furnace and began to refine some medicinal pills suitable for Sun Jingyi. During the trip to the immemorial small Jianghu, Lin Yi had almost used up all the medicinal pills he had. Most of them were given away, and some were sold before the start of the immemorial grand meeting. Fortunately, Lin Yi's spiritual medicine reserve could be said to be luxurious. He could refine any medicinal pill he wanted at any time. The only thing he didn't have the main material was the Jindan. Sun Jingyi couldn't use it for a while, so there was no need to consider it. After Han Jingjing upgraded the automatic alchemy device, the efficiency was extremely high. Soon, the medicinal pills Sun Jingyi needed were refined, and Sun Jingyi herself also began to enter the final juncture of the foundation-building realm. Waves of true qi were constantly agitated. After Lin Yi thought about it, he simply took out some spirit jades and set up a simple spirit gathering array. The spirit qi in the secular world was too scarce. If it was just the foundation-building pill, it really wouldn't be enough for Sun Jingyi to successfully reach the foundation-building realm. After setting up a simple spirit gathering array with spirit jades, it would be foolproof. Sure enough, in the spirit gathering array, Sun Jingyi, with the secret help of Lin Yi, easily broke through the bottleneck of the Heaven Stage Great Circle and successfully completed the foundation-building realm. After opening her eyes, Sun Jingyi was pleasantly surprised to feel the powerful strength in her body, as well as her skin that had become more and more smooth and delicate like jade. Then she glared at Lin Yi with hidden bitterness. "These black and slippery things have dirted my clothes, and you still say that I don't need to take off my clothes." Lin Yi was suddenly speechless. He did keep Sun Jingyi's clothes from being damaged, but the foundation-building realm changed Sun Jingyi's physique. A large number of impurities were expelled, which was not something he could control. Immediately, he could only smile awkwardly and said, my mistake, Hurry up and take a bath. Anyway, the clothes are with you. It's almost time to board the plane. We should also go out. I'll let you go this time, but I'll settle the score later. Sun Jingyi wrinkled her nose and snorted coquettishly. She quickly went into the bathroom to take a bath. She wanted to be intimate with Lin Yi, but the sour and stinky smell on her body really made her not have the confidence to approach Lin Yi. Wasn't it too shameful? After a short while, Sun Jingyi changed her clothes and went out of the room with Lin Yi. In her hands, she held the medicinal pills that Lin Yi gave her. She looked very happy. Lin Yi originally said that he would put them away after he was done, but Sun Jingyi didn't let him. This was something that Lin Yi had personally refined for her. How could she put it away so casually? She had to take a good look at it. Unexpectedly, as soon as Sun Jingyi went out, she was hit by a passerby. Her hand slipped, and the medicinal pills scattered on the ground. Normally, Sun Jingyi had just succeeded in the foundation building realm. Ordinary experts wouldn't even be able to get close to her. It was even more impossible for her to be hit by someone and drop the things in her hands. At this moment, Sun Jingyi's mind was completely focused on the medicinal pills in her hands. She was careful and didn't dare to make any forceful movements, for fear of damaging the medicinal pills in her hands. The medicinal effects didn't matter, but these were Lin Yi's kind intentions. How could she not take good care of them? As a result, all of them fell to the ground. If it weren't for Sun Jingyi's good temper, she would have the heart to kill someone directly. There was no time to say anything. Sun Jingyi quickly bent down to pick up the medicinal pills on the ground. Fortunately, there was a thick carpet in the corridor, so the medicinal pills wouldn't be damaged. You don't have eyes when you walk. You dare to hit this young master. What do you want? Are you looking for a beating? An arrogant young man's voice sounded above Sun Jingyi. It was the person who had just hit her. Chapter 56, 91. Genius 1 second. Remember, if you want to go, the internet provides you with wonderful novels to read. Lin Yi also frowned slightly. He didn't pay attention to this matter. After walking out of the door, Lin Yi's divine sense spread out to find Languza and the other two. Those who passed by were just ordinary people. Of course, Lin Yi wouldn't care, but he didn't expect that Sun Jingyi would be bumped into by him. Although Sun Jingyi didn't pay attention when she went out, this guy didn't have eyes when he walked. He could bump into people like this, and even dare to bite back. He was really arrogant. Sun Jingyi ignored this guy for a while. First, she quickly put away the pills to avoid any other injuries. Seeing that Sun Jingyi and Lin Yi didn't speak, the guy who bumped into people became more and more arrogant. Seeing Sun Jingyi's perfect figure and delicate skin, his eyes suddenly lit up. He laughed and said, "Oh, it's a beauty. Hey, beauty, what are you picking up? Viagra? It's obvious that this guy can't satisfy you. Why don't you go with me? I guarantee that you will never be able to leave me again." Sun Jingyi put away the pills, got up, waved her hand, and slapped the stupid guy's face. His teeth flew out. The guy, who spun a few times and then fell to the ground, pouted and said vaguely, "Are you big? How dare you hit me? You know who I am? You be *TCH. You really want to die?" Sun Jingyi's slap obviously didn't make him realize the truth. After saying that, he suddenly got up and wanted to hit Sun Jingyi. However, what greeted him was another slap. This time, both of his cheeks were swollen like steamed buns, and he could no longer speak clearly. After Sun Jingyi slapped him twice, her anger in her heart eased a little. She didn't want to argue with him anymore, and was ready to leave with Lin Yi. But that guy still didn't give up. He mumbled something and waved his hands, signaling the bodyguards behind him to take action. These two bodyguards were tall and strong, and they looked quite intimidating. Unfortunately, they weren't even at the golden class, so they didn't react at all, now that he saw his employer's hand gesture. Although he didn't understand what he was saying, he could roughly guess it. He roared and rushed towards Sun Jingyi. This time, there was no need for Sun Jingyi to do anything. Lin Yi directly waved his hand and sent the two of them flying. If it weren't for the fact that they were just ordinary people, even if Lin Yi didn't kill them, he would at least injure them a little. How could he have sent them flying so easily? The pig-headed guy was dumbfounded. He'd gotten a good look at Lin Yi and Jingyi's strength, and he knew that they weren't people he could mess with. He started waving his hands and mumbling to himself, but he probably didn't understand what he was saying. What is he saying? Sun Jingyi raised her eyebrows and asked curiously. Lin Yi shrugged. Originally, he wanted to tell him to ignore him and let's go, but he thought that Sun Jingyi might still be angry. So, he reached out and picked up the pig-faced man. He used his true chi to reduce the swelling on his face. At least he could hear some human language now. You are cultivators? You know who I am? I'm from the Liu family in Beijing, one of the biggest families in the Cultivator Association. Don't think that you're great just because you can fight. If you don't apologize to me obediently, I can kill you at any time. You understand? He'd thought that the guy was apologizing because the situation wasn't looking good and that he'd only helped Jingyi with the swelling. Who would have thought that this idiot would threaten the two of them like that? Didn't he understand that his life was in the hands of Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi? No matter how strong your backing is, what can you do if they want to kill you? But if it was Yanjing's House Liu, Lin Yi would have to give them some face. After all, it was Han Jingjing's family. You're from Yanjing's House Liu? Which branch are you from? Liu Tianyi or Liu Tianli? Or another branch family? Lin Yi decided not to argue with him, but he still asked the question casually. The idiot immediately became smug. He pursed his lips and chuckled. Looks like you know about the Liu family in Beijing. You even asked around quite clearly. You don't have to care which branch I'm from. I'll just tell you one thing. The president of the Cultivator Association is my cousin-in-law. The entire Cultivator Association has to give face to my family. Do you know how awesome my family is? Hurry up and kneel down and apologize to me, and I'll let you go. Lin Yi was curious. The Cultivator Association had a new chairman? Who was it? And a marriage alliance with House Liu? Who's your cousin-in-law? Sun Jingyi also knew about House Liu. They were allies of the same level, so she was quite familiar with them. She was curious as to who this guy's cousin was. You'll be scared to death if I tell you. Listen up, my cousin-in-law is Lin Yi. Do you know that? My cousin-in-law and cousin have gone to a higher level to cultivate. You won't understand, even if I tell you. Hurry up and kneel down and beg for mercy, or I'll kill you. Although he didn't have a mouth full of teeth, his proud expression made Lin Yi want to put his teeth back and pull them out one by one. Lin Yi never thought that he would meet a guy who used his name to act cool. Most importantly, he did it in front of him. Should he let this idiot go for his own sake? Sun Jingyi secretly pulled the corner of Lin Yi's clothes, and there was a hint of inquiry in her eyes. From this guy's words, it wasn't difficult to infer that his cousin should be Han Jingjing, and looking at his appearance, he didn't seem to be lying. Lin Yi still had to give Han Jingjing face. He had just used Han Jingjing's automatic alchemy furnace to refine elixir. He couldn't go back and kill her cousin. That would be too unkind. So Lin Yi gave Sun Jingyi a look, indicating that it was better to let this matter go. Sun Jingyi nodded slightly. She naturally wouldn't object to Lin Yi's intention. Moreover, she had a good relationship with the Liu family in Yanjing. She had to look at the owner before beating the dog. She had to show some mercy to the relatives of the Liu family. Forget it. I'm too lazy to argue with you about today's matter. Just take it as giving face to Jingjing. Jingyi, let's go. After Lin Yi confirmed Sun Jingyi's intention, he said casually and prepared to leave. Unfortunately, Lin Yi's magnanimity made the guy think that it was his background that suppressed the other party. He suddenly became more arrogant and said with a laugh, "Are you afraid now? If you are afraid, why don't you hurry up and apologize to this young master? You want to leave like this? How can it be so easy? Men can get lost after kowtowing a few times. Women don't need to kowtow. Stay and let this young master have a good time, and this matter will be over." Chapter 5692. Genius 1 second. Remember, if you want to go, we provide you with exciting novels to read. Lin Yi had already spared him once, but he still dared to insult Sun Jingyi like this. Even if he wanted to give Han Jingjing face, it was impossible for him to not consider Sun Jingyi's feelings. After all, in Lin Yi's heart, they were all his confidants, and there was no difference between them. "What's your name?" "I'm going to fly to Beijing in a bit, and I'll go ask the Lu family who gave you the guts to be so arrogant and domineering outside." "Lu Qianni? You're just a cousin of the Lu family, right? You're not even a core member of the Lu family, and yet you come out to swindle people. It's easy to get people killed, you know?" Lin Yi looked at the idiot coldly and said lightly, if it wasn't for the fact that he was just an ordinary person, Lin Yi would have directly cleaned up the Lu family for them. Presumably, Lu Qianni and the others would not have any complaints. The guy's body trembled. Although Lin Yi did not release any aura, and his words were not fierce, he still felt an inexplicable chill rising from the bottom of his heart, as if he had really caused some big trouble. However, this guy was obviously not someone who would shed tears until he saw the coffin. After this feeling was attributed to an illusion, he puffed out his chest and said loudly, "Who are you trying to scare? This young master will not change my name, and will not change my surname. Fan Jian is me, and I am Fan Jian. Do you remember?" Sun Jingyi immediately burst into laughter and hid behind Lin Yi, covering her mouth as she snickered. Such a beautiful woman was really too undignified, and she could not let others see her like this. Love go little say net Kolini was also speechless. To be able to shout out, "I am Fan Jian," in such a loud voice, this person was indeed very despicable. But to be honest, this name was really easy to remember, and it was easy to remember. Fan Jian, right? I'll remember it. I'll ask Lu Qianni when I get to Yanjing later. Lin, he felt a little weird when he said that. Was he being cheap? Then I'll draw you until you stop. Normally, this would be smoother, right? Yo, you really scared this young master to death. Do you think you can suppress me by bringing up my Uncle Tianni? Who do you think you are? You can see my Uncle Tianni if you want to. How naive. Fan Jian said with a look of disdain. However, looking at his expression, it was indeed despicable. Lin Yi looked at Fan Jian with a smile that wasn't quite a smile on his face. "I'm your cousin's husband, Lin Yi. If it weren't for your cousin Jingjing, you would have become a pig's head by now." "Ha ha ha ha. Boy, you really know how to brag. It's fine if you say, my Uncle Tianni, but you actually say you're Lin Yi. This young master is going to die from laughter. To be honest, you went to Yanjing to do crosstalk, right?" Fan Jian was stunned at first. Then he laughed. When Lin Yi said he knew Lu Qianni, he was a little worried. However, when Lin Yi said he was Lin Yi, he was instantly relieved. In the entire Lu family, who didn't know that Lu Jinghan had followed Lin Yi to a higher level of cultivation, although it didn't spread to the outside world, it was known internally. If Lin Yi came back, Lu Jinghan would definitely come back as well. Fan Jian wasn't a core member of the Lu family, but he was related to them. News of Lu Jing'an's return would definitely be the first thing he heard. Love go little say netka therefore. In Fan Jian's opinion, Lin Yi was a braggart and an unprofessional braggart. In this case, there was no need to make him kowtow and apologize immediately. It would be more satisfying to watch him make a fool of himself and then play with him. Lin Yi casually pulled Fan Jian aside and said lightly, "Believe it or not, don't block my way. We still have a plane to catch." A plane to catch? Don't tell me you're talking about the 12:20 flight to Yanjing? What a coincidence. I'm also on that flight, and it's on the way. Let's go to the Lu family together, Fan Jian said with a sinister smile. He was just thinking about how to go to the Lu family with Lin Yi, and then expose Lin Yi's lies in front of Lu Qianni. Then he could use the Lu family's power to teach Lin Yi a lesson, and he could also step on Lin Yi's handsome face. After all, Lin Yi was very powerful, and he wasn't his opponent. He had to use a delaying tactic. He didn't think that Lin Yi would be on the same flight as him. What could be better than this? Lin Yi held onto Sun Jingyi's hand and walked to the elevator. He couldn't be bothered with this clown. He wanted Lu Qianni to take care of the Lu family himself, just in case another Lu Tianli appeared. Fan Jian had a new plan, and so he didn't care about making Lin Yi kowtow and apologize anymore. As for Sun Jingyi, he felt that this beautiful woman wouldn't be able to escape from his palms. There was no need to rush. He waved his hand to signal the two bodyguards to catch up. The three of them chased after Lin Yi and Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't reply just now, so they couldn't be sure that they were on the same flight as him. Fan Jian had to keep an eye on them to prevent Lin Yi from escaping. Lin Yi didn't care about the three people following him at all. When a normal person was walking, who would care if they were being followed by a few ants on the ground? They might not even know if they were accidentally stepped on. After meeting up with Languza and the others, Kang Xiaobo distributed the pre-prepared tickets to everyone and boarded the plane through the VIP passage. Originally, Languza didn't have an ID, but with Chun Yuqian, a lackey from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, it was easy to get an ID for Languza. It was done in less than a day. Fan Jian was relieved when he saw that Lin Yi was really on the same flight as him, and they were both in first class. As for the two extra people, he didn't care at all. One had to say that this Fan Jian was really a playboy. Sun Jingyi, the head of House Sun, rarely appeared in public, so it was understandable that he didn't know her. However, the two co-directors of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company were definitely influential figures, and he didn't recognize either of them. It wasn't wrong to say that he had eyes but couldn't see. At this moment, Fan Jian was still proud of himself. He thought to himself, "When I reach Yanjing, someone from House Lu will come to pick me up. By then, you won't be able to run even if you want to. When I reach House Lu, what are two cultivators?" The two groups of people boarded the plane one after another. As soon as Lin Yi sat down, he saw a familiar beauty wearing sunglasses. It was Cheng Yi, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. He was surprised. The world was really small, and he could meet familiar people everywhere. Just when he was about to go over and say hello, Fan Jian's eyes lit up. He ran over and said, "Beauty, are you alone? Do you want me to chat with you for a while?" Chapter 56-93. Cheng Yi flipped through the magazine in her hand. She didn't even raise her head and said indifferently, "Please conduct yourself with dignity." As a celebrity, Cheng Yi still paid attention to her personal image. If her fans recognized her and asked for an autograph or a photo, Cheng Yi would, of course, welcome them with a smile and try her best to satisfy their requests. But if it was Fan Jian who came to hit on her, it would be strange if she treated him nicely. After all, Cheng Yi was the same as Su Shihan. They weren't ordinary celebrities. In the entire domestic entertainment industry, no one dared to give them any face, not to mention any unspoken rules. Fan Jian was slightly stunned, but his strongest skill was being thick-skinned. How could he be dismissed with just a sentence from a beauty? He flipped his hair and placed his elbows on the back of the chair. He used what he thought was the coolest pose and continued, "Beauty, do you know who I am? I'm from Beijing's Liu family. You went to Beijing. Don't tell me you don't know the name of the Liu family? In the whole of Beijing, there's no one more powerful than our Liu family." Of course, Fan Jian wasn't wrong. Whether it was in the political or business world, the Liu family had an important position. Coupled with their relationship with the Cultivators Association, it wasn't wrong to say that they were the strongest family in Beijing. It was a shame that Fan Jian wasn't hitting on a normal person this time. Linny was quite impressed with the guy's eyesight. After all, he was just about to hit on the head of house Sun Jingyi, and now he was hitting on Cheng Yi, someone connected to the ancient house Feng. Each one of his targets was stronger than the last, but none of them were people Fan Jian could afford to mess with. Cheng Yi didn't even want to talk to Fan Jian this time. The words "conduct yourself with dignity" had clearly expressed her intentions. So the bodyguards behind her had already come up to chase them away. "I told you to leave. Did you hear me? Is Beijing's Liu family that powerful? Our young miss is from the ancient Feng family. I'll give you a chance for the sake of the Liu family. Don't make me repeat myself." Cheng Yi's bodyguards were also transferred from the Feng family. Although the relationship between the Feng family and the Liu family was good, they would not give face to anyone who came under the banner of the Liu family, especially under the premise that the other party caused trouble first. Fan Jian immediately shriveled up. He knew about the ancient Feng family. Even Liu Qianni of the Liu family wouldn't easily offend the Feng family. Not to mention, he was just using the tiger's skin as a flag. The Liu family wouldn't go against the Feng family because of him. On the contrary, if they found out that he had offended the Feng family, they might just kidnap him and bring him to beg for forgiveness. Unlike when he was facing Lin Yi, Fan Jian immediately believed Cheng Yi's identity. Perhaps he felt that Lin Yi's words were too unbelievable, but the aura of Cheng Yi's bodyguard was most likely real. "Ha ha ha ha, it's a misunderstanding. I just wanted to say hello. Ha ha ha." Fan Jian explained with a dry laugh. He quickly returned to his seat and didn't dare to look at Cheng Yi again. When Lin Yi saw Cheng Yi, he naturally had to say hello. Fan Jian might be driven away, but he wouldn't be driven away. So when Fan Jian sat down, Lin Yi went to Cheng Yi's side. Cheng Yi's bodyguard hadn't left yet. When he saw Lin Yi coming over, he thought that it was another person coming to strike up a conversation. He immediately stood in front of Cheng Yi's seat and said coldly, "Didn't you hear that we are from the ancient Feng family? If you don't know what kind of existence the ancient Feng family is, I advise you to go back quickly." Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, "I'm looking for someone from the ancient Feng family. You can move aside now." The bodyguard was enraged. He thought that Lin Yi was purposely looking for trouble. He reached out and wanted to throw Lin Yi to the side. This bodyguard wasn't very strong. He was only at the late phase of the mystic class. Cheng Yi herself was a sky class full circle. She brought him along to block people and put up a front. After all, the truly powerful people from the ancient Feng family were all in closed-door cultivation, waiting for the island to open again. Lin Yi didn't care about the bodyguard's attack. There was no need. When Cheng Yi heard Lin Yi's voice, she immediately raised her head in surprise. "Brother Lin, why is it you?" As she spoke, Cheng Yi threw away the magazine in her hand. She stood up and casually pushed her loyal bodyguard to the side. The bodyguard was quite depressed, but He quickly regained his composure. He didn't know Lin Yi, but that didn't mean he didn't know who Lin Yi was. There weren't many people who could make Cheng Yi so excited and respectful. There was probably only one person at this age with the surname Lin. After understanding this, the bodyguard's heart skipped a beat. He immediately bowed respectfully and took 2 steps back. He turned around and sat back in his seat. He didn't care about Cheng Yi anymore. Fan Jian, who was just about to watch a good show, was dumbfounded. Wasn't that bodyguard supposed to be very strong? Why did he retreat when he met this bragging king? Was he really from the ancient Feng family? Could it be that he was boasting as well? Fan Jian then looked at Cheng Yi's excited expression. It was completely different from her frosty expression from before. Fan Jian thought sourly, this pretty boy must be that beauty's old flame. That's why he's getting special treatment. This young master is so handsome. Which part of me can't compare to this bragging king? Why are these beauties blind to follow this pretty boy bragging king? He turned to look at Sun Jingyi. She didn't seem jealous at all. Fan Jian was even more depressed. But even so, he still didn't suspect that Lin Yi was Lin Yi. He still thought that Lin Yi was just a pretty boy bragging king. Cheng Yi was naturally very happy to see Lin Yi. She pulled Lin Yi to sit down without any hesitation. If the paparazzi were to take a picture of this scene, it would definitely be big news. It would be able to blow up the entire entertainment industry. One had to know that Cheng Yi's fame was second only to Su Shirhan. She was a superstar, someone who could shake the entire entertainment industry with just a stomp of her foot. Lin Yi casually set up a sound barrier. In the common world, no one would be able to detect Lin Yi's barrier. Even if they could detect it, they wouldn't be able to break it. On Heaven Island, such a simple method was useless. Long time no see. Do you have a job in Beijing? Other than greeting Cheng Yi, Lin Yi actually wanted to ask about Su Shirhan, but it would be too rude to ask about Su Shirhan right away. He could only ask about Cheng Yi first. Chapter 5694. I just came back a few days ago, so I should be going back soon. Where are you going? Lin Yi continued to chat with Cheng Yi. The plane hadn't left yet, so they had plenty of time. I'm going to Europe for a concert, so I'll be changing planes in Beijing. Oh, right, senior sister is also in Europe, and she's a guest of my concert. Big brother Lin, if you have time, do you want to go to Europe with me to watch my concert and meet my senior sister? She misses you a lot. Cheng Yi winked at Lin Yi mischievously. She knew that Lin Yi was also concerned about Su Shirhan, so she said it directly. Lin Yi didn't know how to ask about Su Shirhan, but Cheng Yi mentioned it herself. It saved him a lot of time. What a coincidence. Xiaobo, Fatty Lai, and I are also going to Europe, but I'll be staying in Beijing for a while. I'll go to the Liu family to see Liu Qianni and the others first. If you can make it, you can wait for me, and we'll go to Europe together. Cheng Yi was Lin Yi's old acquaintance. It was a good thing to be able to travel together. Cheng Yi stretched her body and saw Kang Xiaobo, Lai Changyi, Sun Jingyi, and the others. She smiled and waved at them as a greeting. In fact, Cheng Yi and these people were very familiar with each other. After all, they had a common bond with Lin Yi, and Cheng Yi was a superstar. She had some business dealings with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and House Sun, so it was fine to just greet them like this. Kang Xiaobo and the others knew that Lin Yi wanted to talk to Cheng Yi, so they didn't disturb them. Seeing Cheng Yi waving, they smiled and nodded back. After returning, Cheng Yi continued to talk to Lin Yi. Xiaobo and the others are going to the medical exhibition. I've heard about it. Although my concert isn't in that city, it's not far. Big brother Lin, let's go to Europe together. Sure. As long as there's no problem with your schedule, it's fine. After all, you're a superstar, and you're different from an idler like me. Linny smiled and nodded. Talking to Chung-yi made him feel relaxed. Big brother Lin, you're making fun of me. What superstars? I'm afraid they're nothing in your eyes, right? Really, when the time comes, let senior sister be the judge. Chung-yi coquettishly glanced at Lin-yi and joked with him. After chatting and laughing for a while, the plane was about to take off. Lin-yi then returned to his seat and sat with son Jing-yi. After the plane stabilized, Chung-yi took the initiative to come over and talk to them. The journey wasn't lonely, and everyone was happy and harmonious. After landing in Yanjing, Lin-yi asked Kong Xiaobo to take everyone to find a hotel to settle down. He himself had to go to the Liu family. Firstly, he wanted to meet the Liu family and give Han Jingjing's family a message. Secondly, he wanted Liu Qianni to pay attention to people like Fan Jian. It was normal for a big tree to have withered branches, but this kind of person should be disciplined. The group separated at the exit. Because Chung-yi had to wait for Lin-yi, she first followed Kong Xiaobo. This time, Lin-yi didn't even bring Langguza with him. He went to the Liu family alone. He was just about to call a taxi when Fan Jian, who'd been following Lin-yi the whole time, came up to him. Yo, Lin-yi, you're going to Yanjing's house Liu, aren't you? Is no one coming to pick you up? Why don't you come with me? It was a pity that Sun Jingyi didn't come with Lin-yi. However, Fan Jian felt that it was the same to deal with Lin-yi first, and then deal with Sun Jingyi. Lin-yi glanced at Fan Jian and nodded. That's good. Saves me the trouble of calling a taxi. Fan Jian looked at him with contempt. He thought to himself, you don't even want to pay for a taxi. How dare you call yourself Lin-yi? Could Lin-yi take a taxi? That was a godly person who could go to a higher level to cultivate. Did he know what a taxi looked like? A braggart. Just then, the car that the Liu family sent to pick up Fan Jian arrived. The driver got out and said to Fan Jian respectfully, Young Master Fan, there was a traffic jam on the road. I'm sorry I'm late. Fan Jian immediately felt proud. He waved his hand and said, It's fine. Who doesn't know about the traffic in Yanjing? You came at the right time. You didn't delay anything. Let's go. The driver was a new servant hired by the Liu family in the past 2 years, so he was very respectful to Fan Jian. Although he found it strange that Fan Jian's teeth were missing, he didn't dare to ask. He opened the door and invited Fan Jian to get in. Then he put his luggage in the trunk and got in the car to go back to the Liu family. As for Lin-yi, he, of course, didn't know who he was. He just assumed that Lin-yi was following Fan Jian and didn't ask too many questions. He'd just pull Lin-yi into the car, as long as Fan Jian didn't object. Fan Jian had an evil plan in his mind. He would have a good time after arriving at the Liu family, so he didn't pay much attention to Lin-yi on the way. Lin-yi was also happy to have some peace and quiet. The car was spacious enough. Fan Jian and his 2 bodyguards didn't come to provoke him, so he didn't care about it. On the way, Fan Jian finally remembered that he looked unsightly without his teeth, so he got a pair of dentures and put them on. It was a little delay, but Lin-yi didn't mind. He waited for him to go to the Liu family. After arriving at the Liu family, they were taken into the living room, but no one came to greet them. They just said that young Master Liu would come to see them later. After the servant of the Liu family served tea and left, Fan Jian said awkwardly, The Liu family is really busy. It can't be helped. The business is too big, and they have to make decisions. They really don't have the time. Previously, Fan Jian had boasted as if the Liu family couldn't do without him. Now that he was treated so coldly, no matter how thick-skinned he was really embarrassed. Lin-yi pretended that he didn't hear him. He picked up the teacup and sipped slowly. Anyway, The plane to Europe was tomorrow morning, so he had plenty of time. Since he had nothing to do, it would be interesting to see how Fan Jian would deal with this. After Fan Jian explained himself, he saw that Lin Yi didn't respond, so he stopped talking and imitated Lin Yi to drink tea slowly. In the end, after drinking 4 or 5 cups of tea and going to the bathroom twice, no one from the Lu family came out. Fan Jian really couldn't sit still anymore. Just when he was about to ask the servant of the Lu family, a young man with a cold expression finally came to see Fan Jian. Chapter 56, 95. Young Master Lu lowered his eyes and said indifferently, "It's what I should do. Do you have something to do this time? If you don't have anything to do, feel free to take a seat. I still have something to do, so I'll go in first." The smile on Fan Jian's face suddenly froze. Did you really just want to come out and show your face? You don't even want to say a few words? Do you have to be like this? We are relatives. Young Master Lu, my enemy is still watching. Can't you at least give me some face? Young Master Lu, I really have something to do this time. Please stay. Fan Jian had no choice but to bite the bullet and ask young Master Lu to stay. If young Master Lu really went in like this, then Fan Jian would be embarrassed to death. However, what Fan Jian didn't expect was that before he finished speaking, Lin Yi, who was next to him, said after being stunned for a moment, "Han Xiao Qiao." Young Master Lu's eyes, which had been lowered, suddenly opened, and a trace of excitement appeared on his calm face. "Brother-in-law, you're back. Is my sister back?" Han Xiaoqiao's eyes focused on Lin Yi's face, and he immediately walked a few steps forward and asked excitedly. In the past, Han Xiaoqiao and now young Master Lu both had the image of an autistic nerd in front of others, but at this moment, that feeling was completely gone. Obviously, Han Jingjing occupied a very important position in his brother's heart. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked about Han Jingjing as soon as he opened his mouth. Lin Yi smiled and shook his head. "No, your sister is still in that place. But you also know how smart and talented your sister is. I believe it won't be long before she comes back to see you." Han Xiaoqiao, who was now called Lu Xiaoqiao, after hearing Lin Yi's words, a trace of disappointment flashed in his eyes, but he immediately smiled and nodded. "Brother-in-law, you're right. My sister is so smart. She will definitely find a way to come back. Besides, brother-in-law, if you can come back, my sister will definitely come back next time, right?" Lin Yi didn't explain his current state. Anyway, Lu Xiaoqiao cared about Han Jingjing, so it was fine as long as he gave him this hope. After nodding affirmatively, Lu Xiaoqiao smiled quite happily, but Fan Jian, who was next to him, was completely dumbfounded. What was going on? Is Lin Yi really Lin Yi? Fan Jian felt like crying. Who the hell would be stupid enough to use someone else's name to threaten them and not believe that they were real? This blunder was really big. Seeing Lu Xiaoqiao and Lin Yi talking and laughing, and then thinking about how indifferent Lu Xiaoqiao was to him just now, Fan Jian thought that he should just hurry up and die. Lu Xiaoqiao asked about Han Jingjing's current situation, and Lin Yi told him some of the important things. Knowing that Han Jingjing was living safely in Hualanju, continuing to work on her favorite inventions, Lu Xiaoqiao had a relieved smile on his face. It was as if Han Jingjing wasn't his sister, but an elder. Fan Jian stood to the side, not daring to get too close. He didn't want Lu Xiaoqiao to think he was eavesdropping on their conversation. All he could do was sneak a peek at the two of them talking. When it was almost over, he ran over and apologized to Lin Yi. Lu Xiaoqiao asked curiously, "Brother-in-law, what's going on? Didn't you come with him? What is he doing?" Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, "It's not a big deal. It's just that this guy called Fan Jian is a bit of a B***TCH. He's using your Lu family's name to show off, and he even used my name to threaten me. It's quite funny. What's your relationship with him?" Fan Jian's face paled. In an instant, he trembled as he stood to the side, not daring to move an inch. He had been complaining about the Lu family for ignoring him, but now he could only hope that Lu Xiaoqiao would forget about him. Lu Xiaoqiao glared at Fan Jian. Linny might have said it lightly, but Lu Xiaoqiao wasn't an idiot. He had a general idea of what was going on. Brother-in-law, you don't have to be angry with this kind of person. This guy is my sister's cousin, and we are not directly related by blood. Because his family has declined, he came to our Lu family for help. We have been helping him because of my sister's reputation. I didn't expect him to do such a thing outside. Lu Xiaoqiao's words were filled with disdain towards Fan Jian. This kind of guy was not worthy of Lu Xiaoqiao's attention. Fan Jian's face paled even more. Just as Lu Xiaoqiao had said, he was not related by blood to House Lu. He was only Han Jingjing's cousin. When he said that Lu Qianni was his uncle, he was just trying to make himself look good. In reality, only Lu Qianli was his uncle. The rest of House Lu was only because of Han Jingjing. If Fan Jian had worked hard and managed to get the Lu family's help, he might have been able to get the Lu family's approval. Unfortunately, this guy was completely useless. Other than borrowing the Lu family's name to intimidate others, he also used the Lu family's financial support to indulge in debauchery. On the surface, he came to the Lu family to thank them, but in reality, he was here to ask for money. It would be strange if Lu Xiaoqiao gave him a good look. House Lu was a big family, but they didn't want to keep a parasite like this. If it wasn't for Han Jingjing, they would have cut off all contact with Fan Jian a long time ago. Lu Xiaoqiao and Lin Yi's reunion was supposed to be a happy thing, but when he saw Fan Jian, he felt disgusted. He waved his hand as if he was swatting a fly. Fan Jian, leave first. Don't come to our house if you don't have anything to do. Also, for my sister's sake, I'll take responsibility for this matter with my brother-in-law. Chapter 5696. Then it was Lu Qianni and Lu Qianli's turn to rush back after receiving Lu Xiaoqiao's notice. For House Lu, nothing was more important than Lin Yi. Since Lin Yi was back, they had to put aside all the important things and come see Lin Yi first. It wasn't even half an hour before the three most important people of the Lius came back one after the other, chatting with Lin Yi about what had happened after their separation. Lin Yi couldn't help but tell them about Han Jingjing's situation. Knowing that Han Jingjing was doing well on Sky Tier Island, House Lu was also very happy. Lu Qianli had also pulled himself together, and although he still felt a little guilty when facing Lin Yi, he was completely different from before. This made Lin Yi feel a lot more at ease. Lin Yi stayed the night under the enthusiastic invitation of House Lu. The next morning, House Lu sent Lin Yi to the airport together and greeted Sun Jingyi, Kang Xiaobo, and the others. They were all familiar with each other, and Lu Qianni even complained that they didn't come to visit House Lu when they were in Yanjing. But he knew that Lin Yi wanted to come to House Lu alone to talk about Han Jingjing, which was why he didn't bring them. Naturally, he wouldn't be angry. It was time to board the plane, and after another round of goodbyes, everyone agreed to meet up again. Lin Yi brought the group to Europe to participate in the medicine exhibition, preparing to investigate the mysterious sacred alliance that had risen to power. The plane landed at Milva's Kelly International Airport. This was the place where the medicine exhibition would be held. Chung Yi's concert would be held in Bernidi, and it wouldn't take too long to get there by car. Bro Lin, I'll be singing in Burnett this time. I'll be going to Rami in 3 days, and then Madoko in 3 days, followed by Baraini and Lenton. Are you going to watch the first show, or are you going to watch every show? Chung Yi's eyes curved into 2 crescent moons, but she set up a trap when she spoke. If Lin Yi said he would come for the first show, then of course he would come for the rest. As for the choice to come for every show, That was even more straightforward. Unfortunately, Linny didn't fall for it. He only smiled. That's hard to say, but I will definitely come to your concert. Su Shirhan would always be a guest for Chang'e, so he didn't have to worry about not being able to see her. Right now, the most important thing was to take care of the medicine exhibition in Milva and the Sacred Alliance. Chang'e laughed and hugged Lin Yi. As long as Lin Yi could come to her concert, it would be good enough. Of course, she wouldn't really expect Lin Yi to come for every show. She turned around and said goodbye to Jingyi and the others one by one before getting into the SUV that came to pick her up and leaving the airport first. Kang Xiaobo looked at the MPV driving away and sighed. Now that Su Shirhan and Chang'e have become famous internationally, they are two international superstars. If we have time, we should all go and support them. I just don't know if there will be any tickets. Lai Chang'e laughed. With Boss there, why would there be any need for tickets? Didn't you see that Chang'e invited Boss to the concert and didn't even give him a ticket? Our boss can just show his face. Lin Yi pretended to be angry. Fatty Lai, you've got some guts now. You dare to make fun of me. I don't dare, boss. Lai Chang'e raised his hands and surrendered. Everyone laughed. Lin Yi felt relaxed when he was with his old friends. Ever since he went to Sky Island, it seemed like everything was smooth sailing. But in reality, it was difficult and dangerous. He had walked on the edge of life and death countless times. Only Lin Yi knew how much pressure he had to bear. While they were talking and laughing, the people arranged by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company arrived. Everyone got in the car and went to the hotel to settle down. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e went to the exhibition venue to register and arrange the display. Of course, Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e wouldn't trouble Lin Yi with these trivial matters. Lin Yi saw that he had nothing else to do, so he brought Sun Jingyi and Languza out for a stroll. Milva was a beautiful city, and Milva Lake had beautiful scenery. It was rare for them to come here, so they treated it as a vacation. Sun Jingyi felt that it was a blessing to be able to stroll around with Lin Yi in a foreign country. If Languza wasn't around, and it was just her and Lin Yi, it would be even more perfect. He'd been planning on looking for clues about the Sacred Alliance at first, but he'd let it go after a while. They were just some clowns, after all, and it wouldn't be too late to deal with them when they showed themselves. He'd just have to spend some time with Jingyi for now. The three of them wandered around Milva as they pleased. Languza did not stop eating at all. Although Switzerland's delicacies were not to his liking as Chinese delicacies, it was still quite refreshing for him to try it for the first time. After all, as a qualified foodie, he would not reject any delicacies that he had not tried before. When Lin Yi and the other two returned to the hotel, the sky was already dark. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e were waiting in Lin Yi's room. Their faces didn't look too good. What happened? Did the people from the Sacred Alliance come looking for trouble? Lin Yi smiled faintly. Although he was wholeheartedly accompanying Sun Jingyi and didn't use his divine sense to monitor the whole of Milva, he could guess it from their faces. Boss, you guessed right. The people from the Sacred Alliance came looking for trouble. Kang Xiaobo nodded and said, but among the people from the Sacred Alliance, there was actually a heaven rank expert and 2 earth rank experts. They didn't say anything and just wanted to smash our booth. If it wasn't for me and Lai Chang'e, no one would be able to stop them. Lin Yi was startled and said, heaven rank expert? Are they Chinese? No, they are pure-blooded Europeans, but they are indeed cultivators, and they are masters of inner force, Lai Chang'e continued, and at the same time, his expression was a little solemn. We don't need to worry about these people from the Sacred Alliance. After all, their strength isn't enough to threaten me and Xiaobo. but the attitude of the organizer of the exhibition is somewhat infuriating. Chapter 56-97. Lin Yi smiled coldly. Shouldn't they be responsible for the safety of the trade fair be the responsibility of the organizers? How dare they threaten you? If they can't do it, I'll just let them end the exhibition early. Boss, I'm good at this. Are you going to give me the mission? Languza jumped out and asked excitedly. Ever since he came to the secular world, Languza only had 3 hobbies: trendy clothes, good food, and fighting. Hearing Lin Yi's tone, it seemed like there was going to be a fight. Languza, who had just eaten his fill, was naturally full of energy. You're getting excited again. Go to the side. There will be a time for you to fight. Lin Yi laughed and scolded. He turned around and said, "It's not important that the Sacred Alliance has practitioners. What's important is that these Europeans have our cultivation system. From what I know, it wasn't like this in the past. It seems like there is indeed something strange going on in the Sacred Alliance. We need to uncover their secrets." Lin Yi wasn't lying. When he went on missions with the names Ling Yi and Ying, he'd come into contact with a lot of Westerners. It wasn't that there weren't any masters in the Westerners, but the training system they used was based on physical training. Although Lin Yi was only a golden class at that time, he wouldn't be wrong about the basics. At the same time, in the secret base of the Sacred Alliance in Milva that Lin Yi and the others were talking about, a mysterious man wearing a bamboo hat was listening to the report of his subordinates. They were the European practitioners that were chased away by Kong Xiaobo and Lai Changyi. You said that the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group still refused to cooperate and even defeated all of you? The mysterious man with glasses said in a low voice. He obviously couldn't believe it. With the lineup, he sent out 1 Heaven class, 2 Earth class, and some Mystic class practitioners. How could they not be able to deal with a mere Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group? The European leader of the Heaven class lowered his head and said, "Yes, although there were only 2 of them, they were shockingly strong. They are definitely beyond the Heaven class. They should be masters in the foundation building stage." Foundational stage? How could there be a foundation establishment stage master here? And those 2 are the co-directors of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Are you kidding me? The bespectacled man said very unhappily. Obviously, he did not believe that Kong Xiaobo and the others would be masters of the foundation building stage. Forget it. Let's not talk about this for now. But the special edition Golden Sore Medicines formula from Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group is something we must get. Only by combining this formula with our medicine can we proceed to the next step of research. So, you have to think of a way to lure Kong Xiaobo and Lai Changyi away and attack the other people from Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. That way, we will have a higher chance of success. The man in glasses said calmly. It was obvious that he was determined to get the special edition Golden Sore Medicines formula. At this time, someone suddenly said, "What did you say those 2 people were called?" Kong Xiaobo and Lai Changyi? I know these 2 people. They are Lin Yi's underlings. Back then, they didn't follow Lin Yi to the ancient small Jianghu. Instead, they returned to the common world. They are just 2 foundation establishment stage masters. I will deal with them. The person who spoke was actually Xue Jianfeng, who was electrocuted by Lin Yi. This guy was indeed an undying cockroach. After being electrocuted by Lin Yi, the flying saucer that he used to escape was shot down by the sea beast and fell into the endless sea. Even so, he was still alive. His vitality was indeed shocking. There was another person beside Xue Jianfeng. It was Chun Dongcheng, who carried Xue Jianfeng and escaped together. After these 2 guys fell into the endless sea, they were saved by the reinforcements from the center. Then, they followed the people from the center to leave the ancient small Jianghu and returned to the common world to stir up trouble. With these two people present, the origin of the Holy Alliance was clear. It was a puppet force that the Holy Alliance had supported in the European region of the secular world. They wanted to use it as a springboard to control the whole of Europe for the Holy Alliance. After Xue Jianfeng finished speaking, he was very excited in his heart. He couldn't beat Lin Yi, but these two underlings of Lin Yi were merely ants at the foundation establishment stage. He could crush them with a wave of his hand, using them to vent his anger and make Lin Yi's heart ache at the same time was the most suitable. The man with glasses glanced at Xue Jianfeng and nodded slightly. All right, although it is a bit overkill to let you deal with them, as long as we can get what we want, it is worth it. In the ancient small Jianghu, the center was already able to create strong people at the profound ascension stage. However, after Lin Yi messed around, a lot of information was destroyed. Moreover, without the environment and resources of the ancient small Jianghu, everything in the common world was equivalent to starting all over again. The special edition of the Golden Sore Medicine from the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group was related to one of the important research. Therefore, the man with glasses didn't hesitate to use Xue Jianfeng, this super trump card. Xue Jianfeng shook his head at Chen Dongcheng and said, "Old Chen, let's go out for a walk. Take it as a way to relax. There aren't many opportunities to bully that bastard Lin Yi's underlings. It just so happens that there are two of them. Let's take one each. Is that good?" Chen Dongcheng laughed and said, "That's good too. It's been too long since I've exercised my muscles. It's time to go out for a walk." The man with glasses didn't object to this. So far, only Xue Jianfeng and Lai Changyi could go out. After all, the opponent was a master at the foundation establishment stage. Big Brother Feng, who was standing at the door, was a little anxious. He wanted to inform Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi, but unfortunately he couldn't get away. He could only continue to stand there expressionlessly, praying that these two underlings of Lin Yi could avoid Xue Jianfeng and Lai Changyi first. Xue Jianfeng and Chen Dongcheng didn't know what Big Brother Feng was thinking. When they passed by, they smiled and nodded at Big Brother Feng. Big Brother Feng could only force a smile and wish them success. The two didn't go to the exhibition venue. Instead, they went directly to the hotel where Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi were staying. At the front desk, they asked for the room number of Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi and went straight upstairs to find them. After reaching the floor, Xue Jianfeng scanned with his divine sense and found that Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi happened to be drinking together. He immediately smiled and said to Chen Dongcheng, "Good luck. Both of them are in the same room. It saves us the trouble of catching them one by one." Chen Dongcheng frowned slightly and said, "Did we miss something? Why do I feel a little weird?" Chapter 5698. In fact, Lin Yi and the others were also on the same floor. After talking about what happened at the exhibition, Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi left Lin Yi's presidential suite and came to their side to discuss the follow-up countermeasures. The reason why Xue Jianfeng and Lai Changyi couldn't see Lin Yi, Langguza, and Sun Jingyi was that Lin Yi's spiritual sense was too strong. When he felt other spiritual sense sweeping over, he naturally shielded it. Xue Jianfeng's strength was indeed at the early stage of profound ascension, but he was forcibly promoted because of the potions in the center. The mainstream of the ancient small world was the cultivation of spiritual sense. Unfortunately, Xue Jianfeng's strength improved too fast, and his spiritual sense couldn't keep up with the progress. Speaking of which, the strength of his spiritual sense had just reached the early stage of yuanying, which was already a very fast improvement. However, in front of Lin Yi, it was completely not enough. If he wanted to find the three people in Lin Yi's room, he still needed to walk a long way. After listening to Xue Jianfeng's words, Chen Dongqing felt that it was reasonable. Maybe he really thought too much, so he smiled and shook his head. When he came to the door of Kang Xiaobo's room, he reached out and pressed on the lock. He exhaled and directly shattered the built-in steel lock. To an early-stage mysterious ascension expert, wanting to collapse an entire building was as easy as flipping his hand. A mere steel lock was indeed not much of an obstacle. After pushing the door open, Xue Jianfeng laughed and said, "Kang Xiaobo, Lai Chang'e, the time of your death has come. Hurry up and kneel down to die. This young master can be especially merciful and leave both of you an intact corpse." Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e held a wine glass in their hands and looked at Xue Jianfeng, who was walking slowly, and Chen Dongqing, who was closing the door. After the two looked at each other, they slowly calmed down. Kang Xiaobo then said, "Xue Jianfeng, why are you here?" Xue Jianfeng was originally very satisfied with the expressions on Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e's faces. What he loved the most was to see others panicking in front of him. Unfortunately, Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e only panicked for a moment before regaining their composure. This made Xue Jianfeng rather dissatisfied. Hence, he sneered and said, "What? Very surprised to see me? Now that your boss isn't here, aren't you feeling very flustered? Don't worry, you don't have to pretend to be calm. In any case, when I kill you later, you will still cry and scream." Kang Xiaobo laughed and said, "Xue Jianfeng, cut the crap. Do you think that you can defeat the two of us just because you brought one person? Isn't he a little too arrogant?" Kang Xiaobo was so confident because Lin Yi was right next door. He and Lai Chang'e already had a blind worship mentality towards Lin Yi. As long as Lin Yi was around, there was never a problem that couldn't be solved. Xue Jianfeng immediately laughed out loud. He pointed at Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e and said, "Just based on you two trash, do you need this young master to bring people to deal with you? What a joke. This young master can crush you 2 ants with 1 finger. Old Chen can crush you 2 ants again with another finger. I've already said, hurry up and kneel down to accept your death, and I'll leave your corpses intact." Thinking of what he said before coming out, Xue Jianfeng turned his head and said to Chen Dongqing indifferently, "Old Chen, just now we said 1 for each. Come, I'll let you pick 1 first. These 2 fools still think that they are so awesome. Let's let them have a good taste of what true awesomeness is." Chen Dongqing had some inexplicable uneasiness in his heart. He stood by the door and shook his head, saying, "Forget it. I'll leave these 2 small shrimps to you. Anyway, I don't know them. It's more interesting for you to deal with them." "Oh, you gave up the opportunity yourself. Don't say that I didn't take care of you later. This kind of fun is hard to come by. Forget it if you don't want it." Xue Jianfeng didn't mind and said with a sneer. From Xue Jianfeng's point of view, he was completely in control of Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e. What was left was to find some fun on the 2 of them. The reason why he didn't take them down immediately was to let them rise up and resist. He was very clear that beating people from hope to despair was the true joy. However, Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e didn't have the intention to escape, nor did they show any signs of resistance. They were still sitting on the sofa, as usual. They even raised their cups to each other, indicating that they should have a cup together. Xue Jianfeng was furious. Is this how people who are threatened should behave? If I don't show my power, you're really treating a tiger as a cat. Xue Jianfeng, who wanted to show his power, waved his hand, and the sofa that the 2 of them were sitting on turned into ice shards. Fortunately, Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e reacted fast enough and stood up. Otherwise, they would have sat on the ice shards on the floor. "Ha ha ha ha, are you afraid? If I want to kill you, it's just a matter of waving my hand. Why don't you beg for mercy? Xue Jianfeng laughed proudly, but Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi were still calm. Even their eyes looked like they were watching a clown's performance. This made Xue Jianfeng very uncomfortable. Chen Dongcheng couldn't stand it anymore. They came mainly for the formula of the miracle doctor Guan Medical Group. After getting the formula, it wasn't a big deal to get rid of the two underlings of Lin Yi. Now that Xue Jianfeng was showing off, they didn't even put him in their eyes. This made Chen Dongqing feel more and more uneasy. You too, if you want to live, hurry up and hand over the formula of the miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. Otherwise, I'll let you know what it means to beg for death. Chen Dongqing was afraid that Xue Jianfeng would continue to say something unimportant, so he quickly asked. Xue Jianfeng also felt bored and said embarrassedly, "That's right, hurry up and hand over the formula. Otherwise, you'll regret it. At that time, you won't even have the chance to beg me to kill you." Lai Changyi chuckled. "Xue Jianfeng, aren't you afraid that our boss will find you for revenge?" "What's there to be afraid of? I'm a super master of the profound ascension stage. Why would I be afraid of him? Stop joking around. If he dares to appear before this young master, see if this young master will." Xue Jianfeng said loudly. Actually, he was putting on a brave front to hide his guilty conscience. However, before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by a loud explosion. The door that Chen Dongcheng had just closed was kicked open by someone. Even Chen Dongcheng, who was standing by the door, was knocked away by the door. Xue Jianfeng turned around angrily and said, "Who is it? How dare you kick the door open? Do you want to die?" Chapter 56:99. Xue Jianfeng, you're not dead yet. Did you come here to court death? I'm in front of you now. What are you going to do? Linny walked in with a sneer. Lang Guzi followed behind him excitedly. He knew these two guys too. Lang Guzi's genes were still in this guy's body. Today was the perfect day to settle the score. Xue Jianfeng trembled and cried out in disbelief. "Lin Yi, you really shouldn't talk behind someone's back. You mentioned Lin Yi and Lin Yi arrived." Xue Jianfeng wanted to slap himself a few times. What a jinx. Linny smiled faintly. "Xue Jianfeng, you're quite something, aren't you? Everywhere you go, you're busy showing off. Some people used to call me the pretentious boss, but I think that title suits you better. Plus, every time you show off, you run right to me. I really have to admire you." Chen Dongcheng had long been scared out of his wits. No wonder he felt uneasy after entering the hotel. It was because of Lin Yi, this fiend, here. Chen Dongcheng was considered a defector from the Green Cloud sect in the North Island. He didn't have much confidence in facing Lin Yi. Lin Yi's performance at the distant ancient meeting made him even more fearful. At this moment, he couldn't say a word. He was only thinking about how to escape from Lin Yi's hands. Xue Jianfeng rubbed his eyes hard and opened his eyes wide to take a closer look. Yes, it was Lin Yi, Xue Jianfeng's nightmare. No matter how he improved his strength or how fast he broke through, Lin Yi was like a huge mountain, always pressing on his head. No matter what, he couldn't turn the situation around. At this moment, Xue Jianfeng thought of a secular saying, "Don't act pretentious. If you act pretentious, you'll be struck by lightning." Lin Yi, this bastard, liked to strike people with lightning. Although he wasn't wearing the alloy armor this time, he would probably be better off wearing the armor when he was struck by lightning. Xue Jianfeng was also a bachelor. He knew that he wasn't Lin Yi's opponent, so he directly knelt down in front of Lin Yi. He even had a flattering smile on his face as he said, "Ha ha, Senior Lin Yi, it's really you. I was just about to say that if you appeared in front of me, I would immediately kneel down and pay my respects to you. Actually, we heard that you were staying here today, so we specially came with old Chun to pay our respects to you. I didn't have time to prepare any gifts in such a hurry. How rude of me!" As he spoke, Shui Jianfeng secretly gestured to the dazed Chen Dongcheng. "How could this idiot be so stupid? Can't you see that this young master has already knelt down? Don't you know that a wise man doesn't fight when the odds are against him? Saving your life is the most important thing." Chen Dongcheng saw Shui Jianfeng's gesture, but his first reaction was to despise Shui Jianfeng. This spineless thing, kneeling down as soon as he saw Lin. Just now he talked nonsense for half a day, and now he said such nonsense. Even a ghost wouldn't believe it, right? Besides, no matter what, they were two masters of the mysterious ascending stage. Didn't they even have the courage to fight with their lives? He also didn't know who Languza was in human form. Otherwise, he would never have the courage to fight with his life. Not to mention Lin Yi, facing Languza alone. The two of them didn't even have the qualifications to fight with their lives. If they made a move, it would be completely suicidal. Lin Yi glanced at Chen Dongcheng with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. He also had a deep impression of this Jadian sect's former vice sect master. The last time he came to cause trouble in the immemorial grand meeting, Chen Dongcheng ran away with Shui Jianfeng in the end. Now that he had delivered himself to his doorstep, shouldn't he just take care of him? Chen Dongcheng was glanced at by Lin Yi's eyes. He actually felt a chill all over his body. After shivering for a while, he immediately knelt down. As for the thought of despising Shui Jianfeng just now, it was completely thrown to the back of his mind. Other people were other people, but when it came to himself, the standard was naturally completely different. Martial Uncle Lin. This time Disciple specially came to ask for forgiveness from Martial Uncle Lin. Since leaving Jadian sect, Disciple has always wanted to return to Jadian sect. Unfortunately, Disciple knows that Disciple's sins are grave and really dare not, and also have no face to go back to see you. I heard that you also came to this hotel to stay. Disciple finally mustered up the courage to come and ask for forgiveness from Martial Uncle Lin. I ask Martial Uncle Lin to give face to the ancestors of Jadian sect and accept Disciple back into the sect. Disciple is willing to accept the sect's punishment. In a moment of desperation, Chen Dongcheng actually said a long paragraph in one breath, and in the end, he almost moved himself. As for the matter of him, Chen Dongcheng threatening Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi to hand over the formula, he seemed to have completely forgotten about it. In his heart, he was also constantly hypnotizing himself. Did such a thing happen before? No, right? Did it? No, right? Well, actually, these were not important. The important thing was to let Lin Yi believe what he said now. Thinking about it carefully, if this could be successful, it would not be a bad thing. Today, Jadian sect was already the head of the four big sects, and the entire ancient pugilistic world completely followed Jadian sect's lead. And Chen Dongcheng's strength was at the early stage of mysterious ascension, so he could properly be a grand elder and also have a noble status. More importantly, Chen Dongcheng was very clear that there was no central power in the ancient pugilistic world. Judging from Bing Wuqing's situation, Lin Yi could also remove the poison that was implanted in his body. As long as Chen Dongcheng could be accepted by Lin Yi and return to the ancient pugilistic world, he would still be the small group of people at the top. Lin Yi was stunned. Obviously, he did not expect Chen Dongcheng to say this. But from Chen Dongcheng's words, it seemed that this guy really had some sincerity. Of course, he would not believe Chen Dongcheng immediately. After all, Chen Dongcheng was just threatening people just now, and now he was just trying to escape. There was no need to rush to a conclusion on this matter. Xue Jianfeng squinted at Chen Dongcheng and despised him in his heart. This Chen Dongcheng usually scolded Lin Yi in front of him, but now he was calling him Grand Uncle Master so intimately, and even wanted to hug Lin Yi's thigh. How shameless! Speaking of which, why wasn't this bastard Lin Yi the Snow Sword Sect's Grand Uncle Master? Otherwise, Xue Jianfeng, would be able to hug his thigh too. Lin Yi did not know what these two were thinking. He was most concerned about the Sacred Alliance's background, so he waved his hand and said, "Stop talking nonsense. Tell me, are you here on behalf of the Sacred Alliance? What is the relationship between this organization and the center? What is the purpose of targeting the formula of Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group?" Chapter 5700. In front of Xue Jianfeng, Chen Dongcheng would never do something like betraying the center. Only by holding Xue Jianfeng's weakness would Chen Dongcheng reveal everything he knew to Lin Yi without hesitation. "What are you looking at? Boss is asking you a question. Do you believe that I will kill you immediately if you don't tell me the truth?" Languza glared and threatened loudly. He really wanted to kill these two fellows. As long as they were from the center, Languza didn't have a good impression of them. Chen Dongcheng hurriedly said, "Martial uncle, this disciple was only recruited by the center to be a hired thug. I don't know anything important. Xue Jianfeng should know more about this than this disciple. After all, he is the leader of all the cultivators who joined later." Lin Yi turned to look at Xue Jianfeng and said with a faint smile, "It seems that you are really awesome. You already have an important position in the center." Xue Jianfeng was filled with hatred. He knew that Chen Dongcheng didn't dare to betray the center, but pushed him out to be roasted. However, with Lin Yi staring at him, he didn't dare to make any strange movements. "Senior Lin, you must be joking. In fact, this junior is just an errand boy in the center. What position do I have?" Xue Jianfeng's mind was racing. He smiled and said, "We don't know anything about the Sacred Alliance. Today, we are here to pay a visit to Senior Lin. We don't mean to represent anyone. It seems that you really want to die." Lin Yi nodded seriously and raised his palm at Xue Jianfeng. Xue Jianfeng was shocked. He knew that his words couldn't win Lin Yi's trust. However, even he wouldn't believe what he said, let alone Lin Yi. Lin Yi probably heard everything that happened in the room from outside. Therefore, there was no need to ask Kong Xiaobo and the rest. "Senior Lin, I suddenly remembered that I've heard of the Holy Alliance before. I seem to have heard of it in the center by chance. It's said that after they retreated from the small Jianghu in the ancient times, they re-established a force in the secular world. Their main area of activity is in Europe, and they may develop to the Americas in the future. If that's the case, it seems like the two of us are really representing the Sacred Alliance this time. We're not even sure ourselves." Xue Jianfeng pretended to have a look of sudden realization. He seemed to have a natural talent for acting. If that's the case, you should have heard some rumors about why the center is targeting Miracle Dr. Guan's company, right? For example, what do you need Miracle Dr. Guan's formula for?" Lin Yi retracted his hand and asked casually. Xue Jianfeng wiped off the cold sweat on his forehead. He thought to himself that the information he gave out wasn't classified, so it shouldn't be a problem. Furthermore, compared to his own life, even if it was classified, it didn't seem like he couldn't reveal it. "Senior Lin, you think too highly of me. I really haven't heard about this before." Xue Jianfeng wasn't willing to reveal more information to Lin Yi easily, so he said while sneaking glances at Lin Yi's reaction. Seeing that Lin Yi was about to raise his hand again, he quickly continued, "But I do have some personal speculations. Senior Lin, why don't you listen to them and use them as a reference?" Languza glared at him again. So much bullsh asterisk T. If you don't make it quick, I'll beat you up. Xue Jianfeng thought to himself. You're just a small fry who uses the tiger's might. What are you so proud of? You want to beat me up? If it wasn't for Lin Yi, I would have taken care of you long ago. This was also the reason why Languza didn't reveal his aura. If Xue Jianfeng knew Languza's true strength, he wouldn't have any thoughts of getting lucky. It's like this. Although I haven't heard why the center asked the Sacred Alliance to find trouble with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group. And I don't know why they want the formula from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group. However, the center has always been researching different types of medicine. Senior Lin, you should know about this. So, I'm guessing that maybe the center is interested in something from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group. This might be related to the center's research on medicine. Senior Lin, you must be careful. What Xue Jianfeng said was actually the truth. He just changed his words so that he could have an excuse to deceive himself. Linny frowned slightly. He didn't understand what the center was doing. Xue Jianfeng's words didn't sound fake. Could it be that the center was interested in one of the formulas from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group, but these formulas were only useful in the common world? Before entering Heaven Tier Island, these formulas were still valuable. After Heaven Tier Island was opened, there would be more high-level pills and formulas that were better than Miracle Dr. Guan's products in the common world. The center originally had a way to connect the two places, so they shouldn't be eyeing these things. Actually, Linny was wrong. The pills and formulas from Heaven Tier Island were indeed better than those from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group, but the problem was that it was built on higher difficulty and higher quality materials. In terms of the same level, Lin Yi's formulas were definitely the best in Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group. This time, what the center needed was to steadily improve from the foundation. It would be strange if they didn't look for Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group. Just as he was thinking about it, the hotel staff rushed over. Lin Yi's action of kicking the door had already triggered the alarm in the hotel. This floor was filled with the most distinguished guests, so the hotel staff didn't dare to neglect them. So, they came to deal with it immediately. Seeing that the people from the hotel were about to enter, Xue Jianfeng gave Chen Dongqing a meaningful look and then took the lead to stand up and say, Senior Lin, there is still a misunderstanding in today's matter. Let this junior and old Chen settle the matter at the hotel first. Then we will come back to listen to Senior's orders. Lin Yi didn't say anything and let Xue Jianfeng pull Chen Dongqing out of the door. He passionately told the hotel staff that it was all a misunderstanding and that they would immediately compensate for the broken door. Then, he half-forcefully brought the staff downstairs to settle the matter. It was a miracle to be able to take this opportunity to escape. Xue Jianfeng wanted to hug the hotel staff and give them 2 kisses. This was the legendary timely rain. Languza watched Xue Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing leave. His heart felt like it was being scratched by a cat. He couldn't help but ask, Boss, why didn't you just get rid of those 2? The people from the center aren't good people. Chapter 57:01. Kang Xiaobo clapped his hands and said, I understand, boss. You want to cast a long line to catch a big fish. These 2 guys are the bait for fishing. That's right. That's what I mean. Lin Yi did not hide it. Before leaving the secular world, it was best to deal with the central forces of the secular world. Even if he could not uproot them, he should at least cripple them so that they would not dare to come out and cause trouble in a short period of time. It was easy to kill Xue Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing, but it was not easy to catch the tail of the central force. Now that the central force had exposed the tail of the Sacred Alliance, Lin Yi of course had to hold on tight. The reason why he released Xue Jianfeng and Chen Dongqing was so that he could ask them something useful the next time he saw them. Lai Changyi suddenly said, "Boss, I think the guy who called you Marshal Uncle Master seems to want to rely on Boss. If he can betray us and become a spy, we will have a greater chance to deal with the Central Force. If there is a chance, we can contact this guy in private." Lin Yi smiled and nodded to Lai Changyi, but did not say much. Lai Changyi immediately understood that Lin Yi had this plan for a long time, and there was no need for him to remind Lin Yi. Otherwise, Lin Yi should have directly caught Chen Dongcheng and interrogated him, instead of letting him go so easily and letting the two people leave together. In addition to casting a long line to catch a big fish, he also found an excuse to release Chen Dongcheng. Whether or not Chen Dongcheng would really be able to betray them in the future, there was no need to think too much about it now. After all, it was just a profound ascension early stage that had been forcefully raised. Languzo alone could beat them up. If they really did not want face when given, then it would only be a matter of time before they were eliminated. On the second day, nothing happened. Xue Jianfeng and Xue Jianfeng seemed to have disappeared into thin air, never to be seen again. Lin Yi wasn't used to using his divine sense to lock onto people yet, so he was shaken off by them after some distance. After all, they were from the ancient Jianghu, so they should have some tricks up their sleeves in terms of divine sense. As for Chen Dongqing following Xue Jianfeng to avoid Lin Yi's divine sense tracking, Lin Yi did not care too much. Chen Dongqing was probably still hesitating, and Lin Yi did not give him a clear hint, so it was normal for Chen Dongqing to do this. The medical exhibition finally opened smoothly. The people from the Sacred Alliance did not continue to provoke the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. Instead, they set up their own stall. Of course, their stall was the biggest and the best location, much better than the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group stall. What surprised Lin Yi was that he actually saw an old acquaintance here, the people from the Dr. Kong Medical Group. Although their relationship was not that good, they were still acquaintances. Although Kong Mingming was still on Heaven Tier Island, when he saw the people from the Kong family, Lin Yi would naturally think of Kong Mingming. Speaking of which, Kong Mingming and Xue Jianfeng were quite similar. These two were definitely the representatives of the undying cockroach family. No matter how they were photographed, they would still be able to survive. If these two could meet each other, there might be a scene where they would appreciate each other. This time, the representative of Dr. Kong was Kong Guifeng, Kong Mingming's uncle. Their booth was next to the Sacred Alliance, and Kong Guifeng was happily chatting with the people from the Sacred Alliance. Lin Yi suspected that the people from the Dr. Kong Medical Group were invited by the Sacred Alliance. Could it be that their goal was to disgust Lin Yi? Or another possibility was that the center could not get the various formulas from the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group, so they wanted to get something similar from the Dr. Kong Medical Group? After all, the products of the two companies were very similar. Kong Guifeng did not see Lin Yi's arrival. After chatting with the people from the Sacred Alliance for a while, he followed a person from the Sacred Alliance to the resting room at the back. Lin Yi didn't have much interest in small fries like Guifeng, but he had been paying attention to the Sacred Alliance for a long time. In order to get to the core through the Sacred Alliance, he wouldn't let go of even the slightest clue. He extended his divine sense silently, wanting to monitor every movement of Kong Guifeng and the Sacred Alliance. However, what surprised Lin Yi was that his divine sense was blocked outside the resting room. It was completely isolated. This resting room is strange. After the shock, Lin Yi felt a sense of joy. His divine sense could not enter, which meant that there was an unspeakable secret, such as the important person in the center. Otherwise, who in the common world would be able to stop Lin Yi's consciousness from prying? Xiaobo, you guys stay here. Jingyi and Languza stay here to help too. I will go over there for a while. Lin Yi turned around and said Then he quickly walked towards the resting room. Since divine sense could not enter, then he would just let his spirit go in. If he could catch the core person in the center, then he could follow the clues to get rid of the power of the center in the mortal world. That would be great. At this time, in the resting room, Kang Guifeng saw Xue Jianfeng alone. Chun Dongcheng did not come with Xue Jianfeng this time. He probably felt that Kang Guifeng was not worthy to be dealt with by two masters of the profound ascension stage. You are Kang Guifeng of Dr. Kang Medicine. I came to see you this time to ask you to take out the special edition formula of your Kang family's Golden Sword medicine, and then cooperate with the Sacred Alliance to develop new medical products. This condition is very generous. Are you very grateful for my generosity? Xue Jianfeng said to Kang Guifeng indifferently. He was actually very unhappy about this task. Coming to the exhibition site, it was easy to be discovered by Lin Yi, although Xue Jianfeng used a divine sense item that he brought from the small ancient world to block the detection of divine sense. He was still not at ease. Last night, he managed to escape from the clutches of Lin Yi. What if he was caught by Lin Yi again? Kang Guifeng smiled, nodded, and said, "You must be young Master Xue, right? It is a supreme honor for our Kang family to cooperate with young Master Xue's Sacred Alliance. But the special edition formula of the Golden Sword medicine is an important secret that our Kang family relies on to survive. We can't just hand it over to the Sacred Alliance. I hope young Master Xue can understand." Xue Jianfeng said impatiently, "It's just a broken formula, and you treat it as a treasure. If it wasn't for the fact that our Sacred Alliance has a use for it, who would want such a broken thing?" Chapter 5702. In fact, Xue Jianfeng was not joking this time. He used to be a genius disciple of the Snow Sword School. What kind of healing elixir couldn't he get? The gold sword medicine wasn't even close to being a medicinal elixir. How could he care about it? If the center didn't need it, who would care about this Kang Guifeng, who reeked of money? Forget it, I won't talk nonsense with you. Take a look at this video yourself. Xue Jianfeng waved his hand impatiently and opened a video file on his computer. After coming to the secular world, these high-tech gadgets became the things that attracted Xue Jianfeng the most. There was a projector and a speaker in the lounge. Xue Jianfeng directly projected the video on the screen. The image flashed, and a person appeared on the screen. Illumination. Kang Guifeng was surprised. He didn't expect to see the pride of the Kang family, Kang Mingming. I am Kang Mingming. I wonder who in the Kang family will see this video of mine. No matter who it is, listen carefully to what I say. This video was obviously pre-recorded and not directly connected. Therefore, Kang Guifeng didn't say anything. He just looked at Kang Mingming's proud expression and felt a little happy. The better Kang Mingming did, the more stable the Kang family's position would be. If the Sacred Alliance wanted the Kang family's formula, they could directly snatch it. However, the fact that they were willing to cooperate should be because of Kang Mingming. I now hold a very important position in the central organization on Heaven Stage Island. Therefore, if anyone from the Kang family in the secular world comes looking for the Kang family and asks for assistance, no matter what the request is, feel free to agree. If we cooperate with the Kang family, we will definitely not mistreat the Kang family. You must remember this. Kang Xiaoming said solemnly. Whether or not he was important in the center of Sky Tier Island didn't matter, but having House Kang of the common world fully cooperate with the center was obviously beneficial to him. The center was giving Kang Ming face by allowing him to get a video from the Heavenly Island. Otherwise, if they directly attacked the Kang family in the secular world, Kang Ming probably wouldn't dare to object. the Kong family's formula was slightly worse than the Miracle Dr. Guan medical groups. They weren't the center's main target. They were just a spare tire. Otherwise, they wouldn't have waited for Kong Mingming's video and would have been forcefully taken by the center. In the video, Kong Mingming bragged about his current status. In summary, he said that he, Kong Mingming, could totally become the support of the Kong family in the center. Therefore, the Kong family didn't need to hesitate at all. If they fully supported the center, they would definitely be repaid tenfold, or even 100-fold. Kong Guifeng was very excited after watching the video. After Xue Jianfeng turned off the video, he immediately shouted with a red face, "Young Master Xue, since this is what my Xiaoming wants, then there's nothing more to say. Whatever formula you want, as long as the Kong family has it, we will give it to the center to use." Xue Jianfeng's face looked much better. After all, he knew that Kong Mingming from the Kong family was on the Heavenly Island, so his attitude naturally became gentler. All right, we don't need too many formulas from the Kong family. We just need the special edition of the Golden Sore Medicine. The contributions of the Kong family will be recorded. In the future, there will definitely be benefits for you. Xue Jianfeng said with a satisfied smile. After settling Kong Guifeng's formula, he could leave this place and return to the secret hideout as soon as possible. It would be too troublesome if he accidentally encountered Lin Yi. Thank you for your care, young Master Xue. Then I will go prepare the formula now. I will send it to you in a moment. If young Master Xue has nothing else to do, please rest here for a while. Kong Guifeng said respectfully with a bow. Although he didn't know whose position was higher between Kong Mingming and this young Master Xue, but Kong Ming was far away on the Heavenly Island. He felt that it was safer to be obedient and respectful to Xue Jianfeng. Xue Jianfeng was very satisfied with Kong Guifeng's attitude. He smiled and waved his hand. All right, you go and prepare the formula as soon as possible. My time is limited. I can't wait too long. Yes. Young Master Xue, don't worry. It won't take too long. As long as you contact the people in China and let them scan a copy of the formula from the safe, it will take no more than 10 minutes. Kong Guifeng nodded and said with a smile. Then he turned around and walked out, not daring to delay at all. After Xue Jianfeng waited for Kong Guifeng to go out, he picked up the red wine glass in front of him, gently swirled it a few times, took a small sip, and said with satisfaction, "It seems that today's task is quite easy. We can go back soon. Should I report to the glasses doctor first?" In fact, Xue Jianfeng didn't drink red wine before, but when he saw Kong Xiaobo and Lai Changyi's calm drinking posture last night, he felt that it was very suitable for him to act cool and handsome. So he searched online. Today, he learned to drink it, and it really felt good. It was just that Xue Jianfeng didn't expect that when he was talking to himself, there was actually someone who could follow up. Then, I will report first. Xue Jianfeng almost threw the wine glass in his hand. This voice, isn't it Lin Yi who made me on tenterhooks? It's obvious that I'm alone in the lounge. How can Lin Yi's voice appear here? Moreover, in this lounge, I have set up a device to isolate divine sense. No matter how powerful Lin Yi's divine sense is, it's impossible to discover me. Xue Jianfeng didn't have time to think too much. He turned around in horror, and it turned out to be Lin Yi. Moreover, he was less than 2 steps behind him with a calm smile on his face. No matter how he looked at it, he felt hateful. Ha! It turns out to be Senior Lin. What a coincidence. It's really a small world. Why don't you get up and have a drink? Xue Jianfeng squeezed out a fake smile, but he was already crying in his heart. I've long said that this damn mission is the easiest to meet Lin Yi. What I'm afraid of really happens. Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, Aren't you going to report the situation to that doctor with glasses? Hurry up, just pretend that I don't exist. Do you want me to disappear first? Xue Jianfeng wanted to cry, but had no tears. How would he dare to let Lin Yi disappear? Wasn't this looking for him to disappear? Speaking of which, if he could really disappear in front of Lin Yi, it didn't seem to be a bad thing. Senior Lin, you must be joking. I don't know when you came. Why didn't I see you come in? Xue Jianfeng said perfunctorily, but in his heart, he was thinking about how to get out. Should I kick the lounge door down and let the staff come over to help? To be continued. Chapter 5703. I've only been here for a short while, and I just happened to see Kong Mingming's video. If you don't want to report to the glasses professor, then report to me honestly. Lin Yi walked to Xue Jianfeng and sat down casually. As he spoke, Lin Yi extended a finger. There was a purplish-blue electric arc flickering at the tip of his finger, making a light crackling sound. Xue Jianfeng's face turned pale. He was already traumatized by Lin Yi's lightning. He couldn't stay calm facing such a blatant threat. After letting out 2 hollow laughs, Xue Jianfeng had already decided to be a wise man who knew his place. He straightened his body and said with a serious expression, "Senior Lin, I originally wanted to come up here to look for you after settling the matter of the gate downstairs. However, after thinking about it, I felt that it would be more sincere to ask for some useful information and come here to apologize. Therefore, I specially came here today to inform you." Xue Jianfeng felt like he was a genius. With just 2 sentences, he managed to cover up what happened last night and today, so that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to hold on to these 2 points. Lin Yi looked at Xue Jianfeng with a smile that wasn't a smile. He nodded slightly. "Let's hear it." "It's like this. Last night, I didn't hear the reason why the center wanted the formula from Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group, so after I went back, I specially asked around about this. As expected, I found something. Actually, the center wants to research a new medicine to advance their experimental progress." Xue Jianfeng said, while wondering if what he said was related to the core secrets of the center. Normal information wouldn't matter. Lin Yi looked at Xue Jianfeng coldly, and the electric arc on his fingertip became thicker. Then he said indifferently, "Don't talk about useless things, get to the point." Xue Jianfeng suddenly had an idea. He couldn't care about anything anymore. He quickly said, "Actually, the center has always been researching medicine to increase the strength of cultivators. In the ancient Jianghu, they have successfully increased the foundation establishment stage to the golden core stage, the original soul stage, and even the profound ascension stage. I'm the best example. But after returning to the secular world, firstly, the ingredients for concocting potions are hard to find, and secondly, it's even harder to find cultivators, so this research can't continue." Lin Yi nodded in his heart. What Xue Jianfeng said was the truth. The secular world couldn't be compared to the primordial era. Not to mention those precious materials, just the cultivators were hard to find. According to Lin Yi's estimation, the best medium to promote a cultivator would be a cultivator in the foundation establishment stage. It was a huge hurdle for a heaven stage great perfection to advance to the foundation establishment stage. It was not easy for an ordinary person to advance to the heaven stage great perfection, let alone the foundation establishment stage. Not to mention the huge price needed. It was almost impossible for an ordinary person to endure the pain of the foundation establishment stage. What Xue Jianfeng said next was more or less in line with Lin Yi's conjecture. It was precisely because of this that the center had no choice but to change the direction of their research. You said that the center wants the special edition formula of the gold sore medicine to research a new recovery medicine, and then Lin Yi was quite satisfied with Xue Jianfeng's performance, but he still maintained a strong enough tone in his words. Xue Jianfeng didn't dare to be negligent. Since he had already said a lot, he didn't mind saying a little more. This new medicine originally had two uses. As I said just now, it's very difficult to advance from the heaven stage to the foundation establishment stage. Ordinary people won't be able to endure the pain at all. So this new recovery medicine is to let these people successfully endure the danger of the foundation establishment stage. Originally, advancing from nascent soul to profound ascension is also dangerous. If it's not someone with a strong will like me or an ambitious cultivator like Old Chen, it's also very difficult to endure the pain of advancement. This new medicine is also effective in this situation. Although it's not very effective, it can at least increase the success rate by 10%. However, advancing from nascent soul to profound ascension requires sea beast genes, so it can't be carried out for the time being. This is the first use. The second use is to add the new recovery medicine to the biochemical humans we're researching, so that these biochemical humans can recover instantly when they're injured. Even if they can't recover instantly, they can at least recover on their own within a short period of time. To be honest, I feel that this is the main purpose. Xue Jianfeng was going all out. In order to survive, he didn't even care about helping Lin Yi with the analysis. After listening to Xue Jianfeng's words, Lin Yi couldn't help but be slightly moved. This center was indeed scary. Putting aside the fact that it could increase the cultivator's strength, the biochemical human project was also quite scary. Although the biochemical humans didn't seem to have a high level, the center could mass produce them. Lin Yi had interacted with the biochemical humans created by Jiang Wen before. He knew how annoying these cheap things were. If the center created biochemical humans that could recover instantly, Lin Yi wouldn't be afraid, but the world would probably be in trouble. The ordinary people on the streets were the basic materials for the creation of biohumans. As long as they had some potions, they would be able to produce them endlessly. What was even more frightening was that if the center combined the two research projects into one and allowed the biohumans who could heal themselves instantly and without pain to become experimental subjects to increase their strength, they might end up with a powerful army of biohumans. Thinking of this possibility, even Lin Yi felt a chill. No matter what, this center had to be dealt with. Otherwise, there would be endless troubles in the future. Senior Lin, I've told you all the information I've gathered. Should I go back first and report to you if there's any news? Xue Jianfeng stole a glance at Lin Yi's expression and asked carefully. If Lin Yi could let him go this time, he would definitely run as far away as he could. He didn't want to see Lin Yi ever again. Lin Yi came back to his senses. Xue Jianfeng obviously didn't know how much of a shock his words had brought to Lin Yi. After thinking for a while, Lin Yi said faintly, "You stay here first. When Kong Guifeng brings the formula here, send him away and continue waiting here. I have some things for you to do." After a slight pause, Lin Yi continued, "Don't think about escaping. My divine sense will be monitoring you at all times. Although there's a divine sense barrier here, you won't be able to hide once you leave this place. If I find out that you're trying to escape, you're dead." Chapter 5704. Xue Jianfeng, who felt like crying at his own stupidity, didn't realize that Lin Yi only wanted to investigate Kong Guifeng because he saw him with the people from the Sacred Alliance. If he didn't have this item, Lin Yi's divine sense would still be able to detect Xue Jianfeng, and the result wouldn't be any different. Xue Jianfeng replied weakly. Then he saw Lin Yi turn into a shadow and disappear from the room. Only then did he remember that Lin Yi was still a primordial spirit. No wonder he could appear behind him without a sound. When Lin Yi left the room, Kong Guifeng ran over excitedly with his phone in his hand. Linny had an idea and knocked Kong Guifeng unconscious. Then he picked up his phone and looked at it. Haha, I'm lucky. Lin Yi saw that Kong Guifeng's unlocked phone was the hardcover version of Dr. Kang's Golden Sore medicine, and he immediately laughed. He was still thinking about how to change this formula, but it was so easy to get his hands on it. Kong Guifeng received a document that could be changed. It wasn't a scanned document or a text message. Those weren't easy to change. Only a document with this format wouldn't leave any traces even if it was changed. Of course, Lin Yi wouldn't waste such an opportunity. He quickly changed the key ingredients in the formula. This formula wasn't as good as the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's original formula. Now that he changed it, the value of the ingredients was raised by a notch, but the effect was reduced by more than half. When the people in the center verified the problem, Lin Yi would probably be able to find their nest. He put the phone back in Kong Guifeng's hand, woke him up, and left silently. Kong Guifeng woke up in a daze. He didn't know what happened to him. Was it because he was too tired? Lin Yi noticed that all the booths were bustling with activity by the time he got back to the exhibition. There were pretty boys and girls on each of the booths, attracting attention and attention. Judging from the cheers from the crowd, many of them were famous celebrities. However, Lin Yi didn't know any of these Western celebrities, so he didn't pay attention to them after a glance. Unlike the other booths, the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's booth was empty. Although Sun Jingyi was a top-grade beauty, and Languza was also handsome, they weren't famous. At most, they would attract some attention before being snatched away by other celebrities. Boss, we miscalculated. We forgot to invite a celebrity to help us. Seeing that Lin Yi had returned, Kang Xiaobo lowered his head in shame. Lai Changyi smiled bitterly and said, even if we contact them now, it's basically impossible to find a famous celebrity. After all, they have their own schedule. The two of them were indeed a little careless this time. Due to the matter of the Sacred Alliance, they had focused all their attention on the Sacred Alliance. Instead, they had neglected the means to attract people at the exhibition. The exhibition had just started, but the booths with celebrities had already attracted the attention of the crowd. As time went by, the situation would only worsen. It was human nature to like liveliness. The more crowded a place was, the more people there would be. The quieter a place was, the less people there would be. Lin Yi smiled and said nonchalantly, "It doesn't matter. Our products are good anyway. It doesn't matter if there's a celebrity or not. Didn't you guys say that these things were smuggled to Europe to be sold? This means that the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's products have a good reputation." Kang Mingming laughed and said, "Boss, you're right. Good wine needs no bush. We don't need a celebrity. As long as we bring out our own products, it'll be enough to attract attention." Lin Yi suddenly smiled mysteriously and said, "Actually, it's not impossible for you to invite a celebrity. There's an international superstar that came to your door. Whether you can invite her or not depends on your own methods." Kang Mingming was stunned and said, "International superstar? Who? Where is she?" Lai Changyi also turned his fat neck and looked around. "Yeah, I don't see her either. Boss, where is this superstar that you mentioned?" Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything. He turned around and walked towards the door. Just then, a woman in casual clothes came in. She had a baseball cap on her head and a pair of wide-rimmed sunglasses that covered half of her face. Her ponytail swayed gently behind her. Seeing Lin Yi walking over, she suddenly revealed a big smile. "Brother Lin, how did you know that I'm here?" Seeing Lin Yi greet her with a smile, the woman in the baseball cap quickened her pace and rushed into Lin Yi's arms. She hugged him tightly. Then She felt a little embarrassed to do so in front of so many people, so she immediately broke free. In fact, she was thinking too much. Other than Kong Xiaobo, Sun Jingyi, and the others, no one paid attention to the situation here at all. Moreover, this was Europe, and hugging and kissing were very normal etiquette. No one would look at them differently. Lin Yi reached out and took off the big sunglasses on her face and said with a smile, "I can feel that you're here. Why are you wearing sunglasses in the middle of the night? Don't you think it's a little too obvious?" After taking off the sunglasses, a delicate smile appeared under the baseball cap. She wrinkled her delicate nose at Lin Yi, then poked her head out from Lin Yi's side and waved to Sun Jingyi and the others, Sister Jingyi, Xiaobo, and Fatty Lai, "Hello, everyone." Sun Jingyi, who followed them, showed a surprised smile. She took 2 steps forward and grabbed her hand. "Shirhan, why are you here? Didn't you say that you're a guest for Cheng Yi?" "I'm a guest. I heard that you guys were here, so I rushed over before the concert ended," Su Shirhan said with a smile, knowing that Lin Yi was here. Even if it was her own concert, she would still rush over, not to mention being a guest for Cheng Yi. But this way, Cheng Yi would inevitably complain, but she couldn't care less. In fact, Cheng Yi also wanted to come. She was quite disappointed that Lin Yi couldn't come to her first concert. If it was possible, she really wanted to come with Su Shirhan. Unfortunately, this concert wasn't over yet. Even if it was over, they had to rush to the next city to prepare. She really didn't have as much free time as Su Shirhan. Chapter 5705. If they really asked Su Shirhan to hold the fort, then today's exhibition would explode. One had to know that Su Shirhan's popularity in Europe was no less than in China. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that she was an international superstar. The number of superstars in the world that could compete with Su Shirhan was definitely less than a handful. In the music industry, she had the momentum of being the world's #1. Lai Changyi came up and complained, "I say, Superstar Su, you always call others brother and sister. How come it's Fatty Lai when it comes to me? Isn't this too much discrimination?" Su Shirhan pretended to be shocked. "Ah, isn't your name Fatty Lai?" "Who would call themselves Fatty Lai? It's Lai Changyi." Lai Changyi. Lai Changyi looked like he was going crazy and said in a funny way. Everyone laughed. The friendship between old friends could be clearly shown in a few sentences. Lin Yi was also very happy. Su Shirhan used to look like a fairy that didn't eat the food of the world, but now she knew how to joke around with Lai Changyi. This was a huge improvement. It was a pity that Yao Yao and Shu, the 2 best friends of Su Shirhan, couldn't laugh together. It was a pity that Lin Yi felt a little regretful. "Brother Lin Yi said that you promised to go to her concert, but you didn't go. She's very unhappy. She wants you to go to Lan Mi's concert, or else she'll teach you a lesson." Su Shirhan turned around and smiled at Lin Yi. It seemed like she wanted to see how Cheng Yi would teach Lin Yi a lesson. Lin Yi could only smile. "I can only try my best. If things go smoothly here, then I'll go with you to Lan Mi." Su Shirhan was in a good mood. This was what she wanted to hear. It was a rare opportunity to go with Lin Yi. Kong Xiaobo saw that Su Shirhan was smiling like a flower, and she was in a good mood. He immediately seized the opportunity and said, "Sister-in-law Shirhan, look, we forgot to find a star to hold the line at the exhibition today. It just so happens that you're here. Why don't you save the show by the way?" Shirhan blushed and stuttered. What, sister-in-law? Kong Xiaobo, what are you talking about?" Although she had already confessed to Lin Yi, and their relationship was more or less clear, but being called sister-in-law by Kong Xiaobo like this, Su Shirhan still felt happy and embarrassed. "I, Kong Xiaobo, am never a person who talks nonsense. All right, let's hurry up and get ready to go on stage. You see, It's like putting out a fire. There's no time to waste. Kang Xiaobo smiled and gave Lai Chang'e a look. Boss Lin Yi said that whether or not they could invite Su Shihan would depend on their methods. Now that they were about to succeed, they hoped that there wouldn't be any accidents. Lai Chang'e also understood. Taking advantage of Shihan's shyness and uneasiness, he wanted to beat the drum and settle this matter. Sun Jingyi also covered her mouth and giggled. She didn't seem to have any intention of standing up for Shihan. Lin Yi could only smile helplessly. All right, you two want to invite Shihan on stage. No matter what, you should at least contact her manager, right? Only after negotiating the appearance fee can we continue the process. Brother Lin, you're also making fun of me with them. Shihan stomped her feet slightly and said to Lin Yi. Lai Chang'e laughed and said, That's right. Boss, what you said is wrong. As a follower, I can't side with you. We and Shihan in law aren't outsiders. Why do we need to find a manager and talk about appearance fee? Boss, am I right? Shihan's face became redder and redder. She glared at Lai Chang'e and said, Fatty Lai, you talk too much. Do you still want me to go on stage? Hurry up and go. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e were overjoyed. They looked at each other and split up like a lackey, leading Shihan to the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's booth. Lin Yi also smiled and shook his head. He knew that they were just joking. He didn't mind and brought Sun Jingyi and Lang Guza over there. After Shihan went on stage, she threw her baseball cap to Lai Chang'e. She loosened her ponytail and let her hair down. In an instant, her body seemed to be emitting 1,000 rays of light, as expected of an international superstar. Her aura wasn't something ordinary people could compare with. Picking up the microphone that Kang Xiaobo handed over, Shihan didn't say anything. She directly started singing. Ethereal, extremely penetrating voice spread to every corner of the venue. It instantly suppressed all other sounds. In just a breath's time, all other sounds disappeared. Only Shihan's voice was echoing in the venue. There was no need for any words. Shihan's voice was better than thousands of words. After a short moment of silence, people everywhere started screaming, Shihan! Shihan is singing! Ah, Shihan! Shihan is here! Where? Where is Shihan? There. Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's booth. It's really Shihan. Reality proved that chasing stars was the same whether it was in China or abroad. When a superstar like Su Shihan appeared, the seats in front of those stars instantly became empty and desolate. It was a miserable scene. Almost everyone who came to the exhibition ran to this booth at the same time. They were afraid that if they were a bit slower, they would lose a better position to get closer to the booth. Lin Yi was also stunned. He knew that Shihan was a superstar, but he didn't expect her popularity to be this terrifying. This was only in Europe. If it was in China, it would be even more terrifying. Luckily, Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chang'e had some mental preparation. They had already pulled Lang Guza along to protect the booth so that the fans wouldn't rush to the stage and disturb Shihan. Shihan smiled and waved to the fans below the stage. She was still holding the microphone and singing. That kind of fairy-like voice made people feel a sense of joy that cleansed their souls. The people below the stage automatically kept quiet. Those who managed to get a position started waving their hands back and forth, slowly dancing to Shihan's rhythm. Shihan's sister's popularity is really terrifying. Whatever she endorses, there's nothing that isn't popular. Sun Jingyi stood beside Lin Yi and said with a smile. Lin Yi also smiled when he heard that. If that's the case, it seems like Shihan is the spokesperson of Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. It's perfectly justifiable for her to save the scene today. Chapter 5706. Of course, most of it was because of Lin E. Talking about this topic today reminded Lin E of many things that happened back then, and he couldn't help but sigh. Recently, Lin E found himself thinking about the past more and more. Perhaps it was because Yao Yao and Shu were still unconscious, and he was under a lot of pressure. If it wasn't for the Central, Lin E would have gone back to Sky Class Island and found his chief master, Zhang Liju, and asked him to save Yao Yao and the others. Unfortunately, if the Central didn't get rid of them, Lin E wouldn't be able to go back in peace. If the Central did something, it'd be too late for regrets. While he was lost in thought, Su Shirhan finished her song and smiled at the crowd. "Hello, everyone. I'm Su Shirhan. Su Shirhan. Su Shirhan. Su Shirhan." The crowd burst into cheers. There was no need for any instructions or rehearsals. They just appeared naturally. One could see the influence of a superstar. Before Su Shirhan could continue, the crowd was forcefully separated in the middle. 6 European men in black suits surrounded a Caucasian young man like a small boat cutting through the waves, forcibly creating a path. The people who were pushed away couldn't help but start cursing. Those who opened their mouths were secretly attacked by the 6 men in black suits, and they all fell to the ground, unable to speak anymore. For a moment, no one dared to go up and argue, and they could only stare at these people angrily. The white man who was surrounded by 6 men in black looked at Su Shirhan with an intoxicated expression. He came to the front of the stage and said loudly, "Beautiful Miss Su, I am Igratapovic, one of the ancient nobles of Europe. You're the goddess of my dreams, and it's my honor to be able to see you today. I wonder if Miss Su has time? I'd like to invite you for a cup of coffee." As he spoke, Igratapovich bowed slightly and assumed the air of a gentleman. Su Shirhan smiled faintly. "I'm sorry, Mr. Igratapovic. I don't have time, so I can only reject your invitation." Lin E was right here, and Su Shirhan wouldn't even care about anything important, let alone drinking coffee with this ancient noble. Igor Radapovich's face changed. He was a person with a high status in Europe. As long as he was interested in a celebrity, no one would dare to reject his invitation. But this Su Shirhan rejected him without hesitation. This made him feel embarrassed. It must be that Su Shirhan didn't know who she was talking to. It must be such a beautiful woman should be given another chance. Igratapovich thought. Then he smiled and said, "Miss Su, perhaps you don't know my identity. My family is a famous and ancient aristocratic family in Europe. Even today, it is still one of the driving forces of Europe's economy. As long as I want, anyone can quickly become famous in Europe. Don't you want to consider my proposal? Maybe we can go to the hotel I'm staying at and have a good chat. We'll get to know each other better." Lin Yi's face turned cold. Was this Povich guy stupid? How could he say something like this to Su Shirhan in front of him? Was he tired of living? But Lin Yi didn't need to say anything. Su Shirhan's fans couldn't take it anymore. No matter how strong this Igratapovich was, humiliating their goddess in front of them was unacceptable. Many people pointed at him and started cursing. Unfortunately, the 6 men in black were far stronger than normal people. They were almost equivalent to early phase golden class physical practitioners. The normal people who spoke up were quickly beaten to the ground. "Stop! What are you doing? Please leave this place. I don't welcome you." Su Shirhan, who was always calm, couldn't hold back her anger. These were her fans. No matter what, she couldn't tolerate someone hitting her fans in front of her. Igratapovich laughed coldly. "Miss Su, where do you think this is? This is Europe. You're just a celebrity. Do you think you're a noble princess? Be a good girl and come with me. We'll have a good chat in the room tonight. I guarantee that your reputation in Europe will rise. Or else, humph." With a flash, Lin E appeared in front of Igratapovich like a ghost. raising his hand and slapping the idiot across the face. The sound of the slap was crisp, and the idiot was sent flying, just like Fan Jian. All his teeth were scattered in the air as he fell to the ground with Fan Jian. I told you to leave, so leave. What's the point of talking so much? Who do you think you are? Don't you know how popular Su Shirhan is? You're just a small family in Europe. How dare you talk big? Lin Yi said mockingly as he looked coldly at Igratapovich, whose face was half swollen and the corner of his mouth was bleeding. If it weren't for the fact that he was just a normal person, Lin Yi would have killed him already. After Lin Yi finished speaking, the 6 bodyguards reacted and roared. One of them went to support Kratapovic, while the other 5 pounced on Lin Yi at the same time. Without Lin Yi doing anything, Languza shouted excitedly, "Boss, I'll do it." It wasn't easy for him to get a chance to fight. Languza didn't want to miss it. A whirlwind swept past, and the 5 bodyguards in black were all grabbed by the collars of their shirts by Languza. They were unable to move at all. To Languza, this kind of thing was like a walk in the park. It was easy and enjoyable. Languza turned around and asked, "Boss, how should I deal with them? Kill them?" Lin Yi said casually, "Don't kill them. The rest is up to you." Languza nodded and excitedly brought the 5 bodyguards to the side. He began to think about how to deal with them. These weaklings could only be used to train his control. Boss said, "As long as they don't die, it's fine." After that, Lin Yi heard the sounds of bones breaking. Languza was indeed using these people to practice his control of his strength. It was a pity that his control didn't seem to be very good. Fortunately, he knew to cover the mouths of these 5 fellows first, so they didn't let out any cries of agony. Lin Yi was stunned. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.